that a senior journalist, Mr. Nusrat Mirza from Pakistan, should be also invited to attend your conference. So I have not said anything at that time because these are very sensitive matters, because we were discussing on the issue of international terrorism and human rights.
Well, the BJP says it proves that Congress went soft on terror specifically because the conference took place just 1.5 years after the 26/11 Mumbai attacks.
जब ये प्रेस वार्ता खत्म हुई उसके बाद एक वक्तव्य हामिद अंसारी जी की तरफ से आया और मैं रीड कर दूं। मैं ये वक्तव्य रखना चाहता हूं जिससे कि बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो जाए कि उन्होंने क्या कहा। इट इज अ नोन फैक्ट दैट इन्विटेशन टू फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज बाय द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया आर ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, जनरली थ्रू द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स। हामिद अंसारी जी खुद कहते हैं कि पूर्व की कांग्रेस सरकार की सलाह पर उनसे मशवरा कर ही इन फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज को बुलाया जाता है। बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी। इसी तस्वीर में अगर आप देखें तो सरकार के बड़े वरिष्ठ मंत्री भी बैठे हुए हैं। कांग्रेस की सरकार के वरिष्ठ मंत्री मंच साझा कर रहे हैं। वक्तव्य है हामिद अंसारी जी का और यह तस्वीर है और ये सवाल है, क्या ये सत्य नहीं है? कांग्रेस पार्टी इसका जवाब दे। सोनिया गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए, राहुल गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए। तो क्या ये वाजिब सवाल नहीं है जो भारत की जनता आपसे पूछती है कि ऐसे व्यक्ति को वीजा क्यों दिया गया? आतंकवादी हमला हमारे देश पे किया जाता है और हमने ये भी बताया था कि आतंकवाद से कैसे लड़ना है ये कांग्रेस पार्टी पाकिस्तान के आईएसआई एजेंट से सीख रही थी। ऊपर लिखा है सेकेंड इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, उसके नीचे शीर्षक है टेररिज्म नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल। जो मुंबई का आतंकवादी हमला हुआ उससे 1 साल भी अभी नहीं बीता था, 1 साल भी नहीं बीता था। और बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी।
Let's now listen to what exactly the Pakistani journalist Nusrat Mirza claimed that has raked the entire controversy.
इंडिया के जो नफ्सियात है, उनका जो कल्चर है, उसको हम समझते हैं, उनकी वीकनेस को हम जानते हैं। अब मसला ये है कि पाकिस्तान में कोई आदमी ऐसा नहीं है कि उस हमारी जो पास जो एक्सपीरियंस है या जो हमने वहाँ तजर्बा हासिल किया उससे कोई इस्तेफादा हासिल करने को तैयार नहीं है। खुर्शीद कुसरी ने मुझसे कहा कि भाई ये जो तुम इंफॉर्मेशन लाए हो ये तुम इसको दे दो क्यानी को। उस जमाने में क्यानी डीजी ऐसा ही था। मैंने भाई मैं तो नहीं दूंगा, लेकिन आप देना चाहते हैं दे दें, मैं आपको ये दे के जा रहा हूँ। तो खैर वो उन्होंने दे दी थी। फिर बाद में किसी आदमी ने, एक ब्रिगेडियर ने मुझे फ़ोन किया, कहा कि साहब ऐसी इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें और मिल जाए तो अच्छा। तो मैंने कहा भाई ये इन्फॉर्मेशन काफ़ी नहीं है, इस पर ही काम करो। तो इनका एक रिसर्च विंग जरूर है, ये नहीं कह सकते कि आप ये लोग वहाँ के हालात को नहीं जानते हैं। हमारे जो आइंस्टाइन जो है वहाँ के सारे शहरों के बारे में इनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, उनकी जो लिविंग है, उनके यहाँ जो कमजोरियाँ हैं, जहाँ पर वो सब जानते हैं।
Well, Hamid Ansari has once again issued a statement and denied knowing this Pakistani journalist who claims that he was in India to gather sensitive information and passed it on to the ISI. Hamid Ansari has said that he does not know Nusrat Mirza and has never in fact invited him, whether it was for the 2009 international conference or the 2010 conference. Let's open this up and go across to our guests. We're joined by Sanju Verma, spokesperson of the BJP. We have with us SS Sriram, a political analyst. Subrashta joins us as well, founder of the Churn. We have Sunny Dhiman, Youth Congress member, Advocate Kapil Madan, a supporter of the Congress party, joining us along with Tausif Ahmed, the political analyst. Good evening to all of you. Sunny Dhiman, I want to come to you first. Let's just keep aside what the BJP is alleging and what the organizer has said, his clarification. Let's keep all of that aside. Let's just go by what Hamid Ansari has said. And he said it very, very clearly that as far as such invitations to foreign dignitaries are concerned, it happens on the advice of the government and through the MEA. So who should answer the question as to who gave the visa, who gave clearance to this Pakistani journalist?
So I'll just repeat the words of Honorable ex-Vice President, that it is just litany of falsehood, nothing beyond that. BJP is stooping so low to distract and divide this India's attention so that, you know, अब की बार 80 पार उस पर चर्चा ना हो जाए. और let me tell you, you can raise any kind of allegation in politics, that's okay, but you know, you should never do something which is impossible. Congress party which gave freedom to this country, which gave the foundation of this country, which fought with Pakistan, which divided Pakistan twice, and you think that Congress party will do this? Like in what absurd world BJP
lives? Is the BJP claiming that there was a journalist in India who gathered sensitive information and passed it on to the ISI, or is the Pakistani journalist himself claiming?
Even whole Pakistan media was saying when the surgical strike happened that कौवे मरे थे, उस पे भी ट्रस्ट करो फिर.
सनी धीमान जी, ये जो क्लेम्स हैं, सनी धीमान जी सुनिए, ये जो क्लेम्स हैं कि मैं भारत आया, कई बार आया, सेंसिटिव इंफॉर्मेशन गैदर की, उसके बाद आईएसआई को पास किया, ये क्लेम्स बीजेपी के हैं या नुसरत मिर्जा के हैं?
I can't hear your voice.
Okay, all right then. Mr. Dhiman, stay on with us. We'll fix that audio line. I'll come back to you with the same question. I want to go across to Sanju Verma now. Sanju Verma, the BJP is stooping too low. This is the character assassination of the worst form. Just because there is a picture out there, just because you're sharing it, the organizer has shared it, and you can see Mr. Hamid Ansari, the picture does not mean that he has links to the Pakistani journalist or that he himself invited the Pakistani journalist. Respond. Sanju Verma, can you hear me? Okay, I think Sanju Verma is not able to hear me. Let me take that across to Shubhrashtra. Shubhrashtra, if you can hear me, please go ahead.
Yes, Swati, whatever defense that, Hamid Ansari ji is giving, it needs to be understood that he was a vice president at that point in time. Who was running the government? If the government was being run by the Congress party during the time when he served India as vice president, and this Pakistani journalist claims that he visited, then who should the buck stop with is the first question. And the second question is that there are a lot of people in the Congress party who have served at the highest of offices, but why is the conversation happening with respect to Hamid Ansari's name? Because in the past he has had some very dubious connections, which is why there are reasons why people have doubts on his credentials. He is the person, correct me if I'm wrong, I mean you've been in media for the longest time, Swati, correct me if I'm wrong, did he not attend a PFI event? Isn't Hamid Ansari the same person who cast aspersions and raised doubts over standing standing up for the national anthem? He is a person who also had a problem with unveiling of the national flag. There was some controversy or the other always with respect to national symbols, and Hamid Ansari's reluctance to accept them as a marker of nationalist pride or respect. Now, you may have a different version of nationalism. That's not the issue here. You have served at a constitutional position, and if you have so many issues with what India stands for symbolically, and then there is a Pakistani journalist making these claims, however ludicrous they may be, there may be no iota of truth in that. But instead of coming to defense, he should have explained his position very clearly.
No, but if there is no, if you're saying if there is no iota of truth in what the Pakistani journalist is saying, then Hamid Ansari has denied ever knowing that journalist or ever inviting that journalist. Hamid Ansari has denied that.
Swati, I'm not. Yeah. Swati, I'm not saying that there is no element of truth in what the Pakistan journalist is saying. I'm saying that even if we were to go by the version that Pakistan, just because it's not a friendly nation, we're always at loggerheads with each other, if at all we have to doubt the Pakistani journalist version, then in that case, where is a credible defense from the Congress party? Here is a person, I mean, Jairam Rameshji says that yes, indeed, that journalist did attend the conference. Then on what basis did the journalist attend the conference? When the journalist himself affirms that he has passed information to ISI, then what kind of government was the Congress party running during that time?
What kind of government was
that
the
it did
Congress
not
party
know
running?
that there are invitations
The organizer
to a government program which has ISI
Nusrat
linked
Mirza was
people.
never invited for the 2010 event, and in fact, according to the organizer, when the information was passed on to the then Vice President was upset, and instead of attending the event for an hour, only attended the event for 20 minutes or so. The organizer also says Hamid Ansari and Mr. Jairam Ramesh chose not to disclose about the Jama Masjid United Forum's conference because they wanted to mislead government agencies. They did not want questions to be raised on the event. That happened in 2009.
Everything is public. Everything is in public space. You can go and check. And let the MEA
Diman Sahab, 1 minute please. Tausif Ahmed ko sawal pucha. Let him come in.
Yes, Swati. Swati, this entire episode seems like a B-grade fictional thriller, crime thriller imagined by BJP. BJP is giving credence to the statements of a known conspiracy theorist. This Pakistani journalist is known for peddling conspiracy theories about the 2005 earthquake in Pakistan and the 2011 tsunami in Japan. BJP is siding with the theory and the claims which this Pakistani journalist himself has retracted and attacking the office of the Vice President, a known diplomat, questioning the patriotism of the office of the Vice President. Please remember, they are not attacking Hamid Ansari in his personal capacity, but as his position as the Vice President.
So,
and it's the most
shameful
thing to do.
First of all, if it is fictional, first of all, if it is fictional, then which means there is no character called Nusrat Mirza. And if he does exist, according to you, he is a known conspiracy theorist. Then how come such a known conspiracy theorist, a person who, you can use terms like maybe rabble-rouser, anti-India agenda individual, why is such a person given visa? Why is such a person given clearance? Why is such a person allowed to attend a conference against terrorism?
When was he given the visa? When did he attend the event? Kindly shed some light on that. You're talking about you're talking about whether this event took place in 2010 or 2009.
2009. The picture is
we
of 2009.
We are in 2022. This man is old. He needs some attention.
This picture is from 2009. That's what the organizer says.
Yes, there's a lots of discrepancy about him attending the event in which year as well.
He can be seen in the picture.
And this man who is towards the fag end of his career
photo, which means he was very much present in the event.
Casually to a YouTuber.
He is.
This man in Pakistan, a Pakistani rebel-rouser talking to a YouTuber.
He can be seen in the picture along with other dignitaries.
Seeking some attention. And the government of the time is giving credence to what he says against the Vice President.
Which means he was present for the event which happened here in India. So basic question, Sanju Verma, if that person is a conspiracy theorist, then how come you are allowing such person to enter India if you know about his credentials and his intentions?
Swati, let me lay down some ground facts before your audience. First and foremost, we are all aware of this saying, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence, third time is enemy action. And Hamid Ansari is a repeat offender. This is the same man who in September 2017 attended a program which was organized by the PFI at Kozhikode in Kerala and quite brazenly was completely remorseless and unrepentant about it. And Swati, you might recall as recently as January 2022, Hamid Ansari attended a virtual conference attended by none other than the Indian Association of American Muslims, which is a radicalized Islamist organization which clearly says that its key agenda is to establish an Islamic state across the world. It owes its allegiance to the likes of Taliban and Al-Qaeda, and Indian American Muslim Council has repeatedly said that Kashmir is not a part of India. It has peddled an anti-India propaganda at various international forums. And what a shame that a man who was the Vice President of India from 2007 to 2017 was presiding over a program organized by the Indian American Muslim Council. And now coming to your question,
Okay.
I will just say this. Who gave Hamid Ansari the visa in 2009 and 2010? It was not the BJP-led NDA who was in power then. It was the Congress.
Okay.
And mind you, normally you are given a visa to visit 5 cities. At that point in time, even a multi-point entry visa covers 5 cities, not more than that. But this man was
Okay, as far as the PFI event is concerned,
7 to 9
as far as the PFI event is concerned, Hamid Ansari said, I was invited by a Delhi-based body called Institute of Objective Studies. They came to me saying that they are organizing a study on status of women and role of women in making a humane society. So he basically said they did not know that it was an event organized by the PFI, as far as the PFI event is concerned.
Swati, let me be very clear to you that the key organizer of the event in September 2017 as per the code was the women's arm of PFI. It was attended by the General Secretary of PFI, Anis Ahmed, another General Secretary, Ahmed Qureshi, and the head of the women's wing of PFI, A.S. Zainab. So Hamid Ansari trying to mollycoddle the whole thing and whitewash the whole thing is a whole lot of hogwash. I want to ask you one thing. Why are questions not being asked of the Congress? Who gave
Questions are being asked of the Congress. Questions are being asked to the Congress party, and Mr. Sunny Dhiman is answering those questions. Maybe you were not connected. Maybe you were not connected. Maybe you were not connected when I asked those questions. But let me bring in Mr. S.S. Sriram. Mr. S.S. Sriram. Now the Congress party is asking what is the evidence? Where is the evidence? Where is the proof that this person, Nusrat Mirza, actually met Hamid Ansari? What are his credentials? Why are we going by what Nusrat Mirza is saying?
And the last day he had to say that Muslims are insecure in India, but when probed further he backtracked. He was the same person who took objection to removing Jinnah's picture in one of the UP universities. He was the same person who kept on even supporting the Sharia law. So there are his past intentions or his views are definitely looks radical, and this gentleman seemed to have had a very free run. He has visited India 5 times, visited almost 15 to 16 states. He seemed to know the number of Muslim MPs in India by the back of his palm, and he is quite confident saying that he has got the best of help that wanted by him to be in India. So there is a very confident statement, and one can't brush aside and say, you know, he was a vice president and he had did this, he had done that.
Mr. Sriram,
there are situations where you have to look at magnifying glass and see what exactly has gone wrong, and we can't just say that nothing went wrong.
Let me come in. I have a quick follow-up question. Can you hear me?
Bothering issue that one has to look into.
I have a quick follow-up question if you can hear me. Nusrat Mirza also said in his interview that 2611 was an inside job. So what is the credibility of such an individual? What is the proof Congress party is asking of the meet that happened according to him between him and Mr. Hamid Ansari? Why are we going by somebody who is known to be a conspiracy theorist?
No, why at all? We should first share the dais with a person who just was the reason, the country which was just for the reason for the 29/11 attack. Why at all was he first invited? And why should we take his statements trying to divulge or divulge that saying that it was an Indian insider work? I mean, this is definitely an issue that these guys can do what they want to do, and they have had a free run is what it goes to prove. Nothing else otherwise. Okay,
Mr. Dhiman, respond to that. Why was clearance given? Why was visa given? Or why was this individual allowed to enter India when he is being called a conspiracy theorist, and when one is saying that you cannot trust his intentions, and this happened right after the 26/11 attacks that happened in 2008 in Mumbai. In 2009, this person comes to India and attends a conference. Why was the clearance given?
Like few days back on 13th of July, Congress party has already given what Congress has to say. But right now what I'm saying is कि आप चाहते हैं कि मोहनजोदड़ो की खुदाई करके हम पता करें कि वो क्यों बना था।
नहीं, जो सवाल हम पूछ रहे हैं उसका जवाब नहीं दिया ना कांग्रेस पार्टी ने। अपनी तरफ से एक स्टेटमेंट इशू कर दिया गया है। मिस्टर दिमान,
treating it just an absurd
Mr. Diman, please answer the question that has been asked.
Vice President, so that the people of
Please
India
answer the
should
question
not
that has
go
been
into
asked.
the details कि अब की बार
जो सवाल है उसका जवाब दीजिए।
अब की बार 80 पार
जो सवाल है उसका जवाब दीजिए।
लोगों को सुनाई ना दे।
कांग्रेस पार्टी ने एक स्टेटमेंट अपनी तरफ से जारी कर दिया, लेकिन कांग्रेस पार्टी के अलावा ऑर्गेनाइजर का भी कुछ कहना है।
भारत सरकार की
ऑर्गेनाइजर का भी कुछ कहना है, ऑर्गेनाइजर ने भी अपना पक्ष रखा है। आप सवाल का जवाब दीजिए ना कि अगर ये कंस्पिरेसी थियरिस्ट है तो फिर इनको इंडिया आने क्यों दिया गया? इनको 2009 में ठीक 2008 26/11 के हमलों के बाद एक पाकिस्तानी जर्नलिस्ट को आप बुला रहे हैं मंच पर, इतने सारे महानुभाव बैठे कांग्रेस पार्टी के क्यों?
कांग्रेस पार्टी है, हम आईएसआई, सुनिए ये व्यक्ति खुद बोल रहा है कि हम आईएसआई के बाद पढ़कर देखिए ना उसके बारे में। आईएसआई का भी ब्लू आई बॉय है और उसकी बातों को आप मानकर अब इस देश को
आप आने दे रहे हैं इंडिया में,
आप इस देश को भटकाना चाहते हैं,
उसको आप इंडिया में आने दे रहे हैं। इस तरह के कॉन्फ्रेंसेस को जो कि टेररिज्म के खिलाफ हैं, कॉन्फ्रेंसेस अगेंस्ट टेररिज्म, ही इज बीइंग अलाउड टू अटेंड सच कॉन्फ्रेंसेस
राइट नाउ।
ब्लू आइड बॉय आईएसआई का है तो एक बात बताइए, ब्लू आइड बॉय आईएसआई का है तो एक बात बताइए, व्हाई वाज ही अलाउड टू स्टेप, व्हाई वाज ही अलाउड टू सेट फुट इन इंडिया?
प्लीज रीड माय लिप्स। Can I say something?
Yes.
I will not answer that absurd question, but
okay. So the question is absurd
because
सवाल गलत है. Question is absurd. The Congress Party has issued a statement. We will not answer. We will not answer on accountability. We will not answer. नहीं, आपने कह दिया. आपने सवाल को ही absurd कह दिया.
हम आरएसएस के लोग नहीं है जो
यहाँ वहाँ की आप तमाम बातें कर लेंगे. You will not come. You will not come to the point. I want to go across to Advocate Kapil Madan. Kapil Madan, there are some questions that are being asked about the clearance given to this individual. If today, the Congress party is saying, why are we trusting this man? Why are we going by what he's saying? What is the credibility of this individual? And it is whatever he's saying and whatever the BJP is saying is being called a litany of falsehoods. Then why was this individual allowed to step foot in India? And how does that question become absurd?
Yes, so I will respond to all your questions. So let me put and answer the first question. Now, I think you have missed the important update, the official statement given by Ministry of External Affairs, wherein they have denied, they say we can't corroborate what has been said by this Pakistani journalist. That's point number one. So there is no corroboration. The official statement of the government of India through Ministry of External Affairs, they are not ratifying what the Pakistani journalist has said. That's point number one. Now, second point, you raise an important point that there should be questions about, if someone has terror links, then why would you have that individual? Or, of course, I mean, these are important questions in the interest of the nation's integrity and security. These questions should be asked.
Yes.
And with that context, I'll ask a question. Now, you have Mohammad Riaz Atari, who NIA is now claiming that he has links with Pakistan, and he was found to be a member of BJP in Rajasthan. He committed gruesome murder of Kanhaiya Lal in Rajasthan.
Okay.
Now you also have...
Before you bring in the Udaipur angle, and other angles, you have said something about the MEA statement. Let me tell you what Arindam Bagchi said. Let me tell you what Arindam Bagchi said. Arindam Bagchi said, I have seen some media reports, but I cannot comment on it. I don't have the details about the media report, and it is uncorroborated. I would not like to comment on both the points.
How are you drifting the debate? Have a bipartisan debate, Swati.
Arey sir, you said something about the MEA statement. You said something about the MEA statement. I am just telling you the exact statement.
You can't interrupt me. You can't interrupt. Let me finish and then
I can always ask you a follow-up question. I can always come in and tell you that this is the exact statement.
Your follow-up, okay.
And the follow-up question is to you only. I have not moved on to someone else. So you can continue speaking.
Let me first ask you, Tahib Hussain Shah, a sitting IT member of the BJP, is arrested by Jammu and Kashmir police on terror charges. Now, how is the man shown on a picture with Mr. Amit Shah? How could he?
पूछिए ना बीजेपी को. Why are you asking that question to me? No, Mr. There is no need to be. There is no need to be upset. Advocate Madan, you said something about the MEA statement. I just told you what the exact statement is. And I have not moved on to some other guest. You are still speaking. So please complete your point.
I am completing, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Now, you don't want to talk about Tahib Hussain Shah.
You can go ahead and talk about it. I never stopped you from talking about it. I'm not even expunging or banning you from using those names.
The point is now terrorism. Now you have a link, a seat of the BJP.
Let him finish.
Jammu and Kashmir unit arrested on terror charges.
That was discussed
about that terrorism
extensively. Questions were asked to the BJP as well. Questions were asked to the BJP as well.
No. Allow me to make my point. Now also in 2017, a gentleman again who had links with BJP, Dhruv Saxena, he was caught.
No, one second, please let him finish his point. हाँ, ठीक है. So Sanju Verma, he is saying you are maligning Hamid Ansari. What about the terror links with the BJP? Isn't that your question? You want a response to that, Mr. Madan?
Yes, let me respond.
Now, Swati, I don't want to be
Ministry of External Affairs, Ministry of External Affairs has not corroborated what the BJP is saying.
I don't wish to be interrupted,
it is
Swati.
without any basis as of now.
Okay, Mr. Madan, now let her respond.
You have on the other.
You've leveled some allegations.
Not to heckle others.
Take clarification.
Swati, first and foremost, the topic of the debate is Hamid Ansari. It is not Rajasthan. Point number 2, I simply want to say one thing. You know, forget what Hamid Ansari is saying, forget what journalists or conspiracy theorists or Pakistani spy Nusrat Mirza is saying. Can we believe what N.K. Sood, noted author and former raw officer, said about Hamid Ansari? I'm reading out his tweet of 2019, where he says, I was in Tehran, Iran, and Hamid Ansari was then the ambassador in Tehran. Ansari had played a crucial role in exposing India's raw setup in Tehran, endangering the lives of raw unit members. But this very man was made vice president for 2 consecutive terms. This is N.K. Sood's tweet dated 28 June 2019. Point number 2, I want to say one thing. Congress का track record देखो, Swati. Mani Shankar Iyer goes to Pakistan and he says, Modi को हटाओ, हमको लेकर आओ. Salman Khurshid goes to Islamabad, says, जब से मोदी आए हैं भारत में कुछ सही नहीं हो रहा. Shashi Tharoor goes to Karachi, he said that everything in India is wrong post 2014. Congress is a repeat offender. This is the same party. Congress is the same party.
Okay.
At the height of Doklam standoff, Rahul Gandhi was shamelessly flirting with Chinese embassy officials.
Let's take quick rebuttals then.
With China in 2008.
Okay.
So please don't give bhashan on nationalism and
Mr. Dhiman.
to the BJP. I want to ask just one simple
They are carbon copy of RSS. They want to distract issue. If Hamid Ansari has done something wrong, then why BJP could not do anything in last 7-8 years? Why? But you want to distract India. You want to degrade the office of the vice president. You are against the constitution of India. You are against the soul of very India. That is why you are doing so. You are attacking Congress, the Congress party, the member of Congress party. We have sacrificed for this nation, and we will do it again and again.
Mr. Dhiman, the then Vice President Hamid Ansari himself has said that I did not invite anybody. Whenever such invitations are sent out, it happens on the advice of the government and it happens through the MEA. So the Congress party needs to answer. नीड्स टू आंसर उस वक्त ये डिसीजन किसने लिया, ये इन्विटेशन किसने दिया, इसमें आप कांग्रेस का सैक्रिफाइस और कांग्रेस पार्टी में क्या क्या हुआ, ये आप टॉपिक पर रहिए, आप ये पूरा इतिहास मत लेकर आइए. But as far as that point on Iran is concerned, Shubhrashtra, Hamid Ansari also said, as far as my work in Iran is concerned, the current dispensation also has knowledge about it.
Allegation नहीं, ISI की लाइन को टो मत करो इंडिया में. Please don't toe the line of ISI. Do the investigation. We still are.
तो इन्वेस्टिगेशन होने दीजिए ना, कौन मना कर रहा है, कौन मना कर रहा है. Let Shubhrashtra come in now. यही तो मैं आपसे कह रही हूँ, यही तो कह रही हूँ मैं आपसे, इन्वेस्टिगेशन होने दीजिए. Shubhrashtra.
Swati, this entire debate.
Yes, Swati, I couldn't hear your question exactly because Sunny was constantly speaking. Your question is that basically what Hamid Ansari is saying is that his work in Iran was in the know-how of the central government, right?
Yes.
Is that what the context is?
Yes.
Yeah. So, nobody, I mean, I don't think anybody is denying the fact that he has served India at various constitutional and bureaucratic positions. Nobody is denying that. The problem now is that not only, so the thing is, it's not only a Pakistani spy saying something. It's also an organizer of an event in London, Mr. Agrawala, whose Twitter thread is going viral. A press statement has been issued by the organizer of that event. Why are these controversies associated with one single individual in the Congress party? I mean, Dr. Shashi Tharoor has served so many positions in the Congress. I don't think a conversation like that would have ever occurred around him. So, Sunny needs to understand that there are serious allegations being made and there is a context
going by what everybody is saying, what Nusrat Mirza, beg your pardon, is claiming, what the organizer is claiming, but we need to actually demand evidence. If that meeting ever happened, there needs to be an evidence, a proof of that meeting between Nusrat Mirza and Hamid Ansari. And I think the organizer should also provide some evidence as to whether Mr. Hamid Ansari himself wanted Nusrat Mirza to be a part of the 2010 event, and when that never happened, he got upset. That's what the organizer is claiming. So those are the basic questions that still are unanswered. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us. Shubhrashtra is going to continue with us for debate number 2. Sunny Dhiman bhi हमारे साथ रहेंगे. Moving on now, 27 days, Rajasthan cops arrested a man who openly gave Sar Tan Se Juda call from the forecourt of Ajmer Dargah on 17th of June. Yes, Cong-Chisti has been finally arrested from Hyderabad and has been sent to 7-day police remand and will now be interrogated over the Kanhaiya Ajmer link. But with Gauhar in the net, the spotlight has swiftly shifted to Sarwar Chisti and his son, who are still free. Despite their calls to boycott and insult Hindus, the obvious question on everybody's minds is, why is there absolutely no action against these men? Times Now brings you the most definitive proof that shows that the opposition's apprehensions may not be ill-founded. Sarwar Chisti, the General Secretary of Ajmer Dargah Anjuman Committee, is the brother of Ghulam Mustafa. Who is Ghulam Mustafa? Ghulam Mustafa is a senior district Congress leader. Mustafa is the vice president of the Ajmer Congress Working Committee, which also links him to Gauhar, who would actually be the nephew. So there is a relation between all these individuals, a Congress relation. And even as this expose lends credence to the Rajasthan government going soft on threat mongers charge, here is further proof. On the 10th of June, 7 days, just 7 days before Gauhar's beheading chant and 18 days before Kanhaiya was hacked in Udaipur, yet another PFI rally saw similar chants being raised in Ajmer. Let's take a look. Repeatedly, Ashok Gehlot dispensation has been found wanting when it comes to crackdown on radical elements. Now, while the BJP thinks that even Gauhar Chisti's arrest may just be a formality, the Congress, despite being in the dock, continues to be in self-congratulatory mode.
मैं गहलोत सरकार को बधाई दूंगा कि जिन लोगों ने अमन चैन बिगाड़ने की कोशिश की, उनको सिर्फ अपने ही प्रदेश से नहीं, दूसरी जगहों से भी पकड़ के ला रहा है. ये वो हैं जिन्होंने नारेबाजी की थी, जिन्होंने हत्या की थी, उनको तो 6 घंटे के अंदर पकड़ लिया था, जाने नहीं दिया था उनको। तो जो एक सरकार एक घटना के बाद कर सकती है, उस पर खरी उतर रही है। अब इन्होंने नारेबाजी कराई थी, इनके तार कहां से जुड़े हैं, क्या है, ये सारी बातें दौरान तफ्तीश इन्वेस्टिगेशन में आ जाएंगी।
Public pressure and also the issue raised by political parties like the BJP that there should be justice for the brutal murder of Kanhaiya Lal, which took place, and those who have participated in coming out with provocative statements to perpetrate violence or encourage violent activities, action should be against them. So in that case, it seems that this person from Ajmer has been arrested, although rather belatedly. We hope it's not just a formality, that law must take its full course, action must be done, initiated, a proper case must be filed and followed up to ensure that justice is done. And anyone else who is perpetrating violence, encouraging violence or justifying this kind of act needs to also be investigated and action must be taken against them.
But the big question is, are these radical elements being given political patronage? Are they being given immunity? Let's open this up and go across to our guests. Shubhrashtra continues to be with us. In the studio, we are joined by Firoz Bakht Ahmed, former Chancellor of Manu. We have another guest, Sunny Dhiman, who is a Congress, Youth Congress spokesperson, who continues to be with us on the broadcast. Sunny Dhiman, let me in fact begin with you. 27 days. It took the police 27 days to nab Cong-Chisti. Sarwar Chisti and his son are still free, no action taken against them. The opposition is saying that your government, the Ashok Gehlot dispensation, is giving a free run, is giving political patronage, is shielding the radical elements. Why?
You are saying why, but the issue is, we are Congress. We want to maintain equidistance for every religious fundamental group, be it Muslim or be it Hindu. First. Second, and we are not BJP. We have hounded that guy कि हम दोबारा बोलते हैं, थोड़ा सा और तेज आवाज में बोलते हैं कि हम जहन्नुम से भी ढूंढ के लाएंगे उन लोगों को जो गुनहगार हैं। हम भाजपा नहीं है, हमने चिश्ती को पकड़ा ना, लेकिन याद रखिए नुपुर शर्मा, देखिए आप बीच में देखिए, नुपुर शर्मा 40 दिन हो चुके हैं जिसके खिलाफ FIR हो चुकी है. सुप्रीम कोर्ट हैज रिसेंटली सेड कि शी इज सिंगल हैंडेडली रिस्पॉन्सिबल वट एवर हैपन इन दिस कंट्री एंड द आइडियोलॉजी शी बिलोंग्स, बट उसकी गिरफ्तारी नहीं हो रही है. आपको नहीं लगता है कि
तो आप उस सवाल के आड़ में,
और आप ये नहीं पूछे कि बीजेपी के मेंबर्स ने कन्हैया लाल की हत्या करी है, बीजेपी के मेंबर्स ने कन्हैया लाल की हत्या करी है.
नहीं सनी धीमान जी, आप केवल कांग्रेस नहीं है,
whenever there will be a Hindu-Muslim thing, it will only help BJP.
आप सरकार में, राजस्थान में
हिंदू मुस्लिम
अगर ये भी कहें, अगर आप ये भी कहें कि हम अफिलिएशन नहीं चाहते, पहले सुनिए मेरी बात तो सुनिए. आप केवल कांग्रेस पार्टी नहीं है, आपकी राजस्थान में सरकार है. अगर आप ये कह रहे हैं कि आप किसी एक्सट्रीमिस्ट ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के साथ अफिलिएशन नहीं चाहते तो समझ में आता है, लेकिन अगर कोई सर तन से जुदा इस तरह के नारे लगा रहा है, आपके राज्य में माहौल खराब कर रहा है, तो उसको रोकने का काम आप ही का है. भले आप कांग्रेस हो चाहे कुछ भी हो, आप सरकार में है, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर आपकी जिम्मेदारी है.
कांग्रेस पार्टी नहीं, ये गिरफ्तार सुनिए, ये गिरफ्तारी जो की है, ये ISI के लोगों ने नहीं की है या अमेरिका से किसी ने FBI ने आके गिरफ्तारी की है, राजस्थान पुलिस है. सवाल अभी भी उठता है, सवाल अभी भी उठता है कि भैया, नहीं सवाल अभी भी उठता है कि क्या भाजपा जो केंद्र सरकार में है, नुपुर शर्मा का घर तो पता है ना उनको, 40 दिन हो चुके हैं, सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने लताड़ दिया है और भारत सरकार के सबसे बड़े वकील जाके उसको डिफेंड कर रहे हैं.
समझ में ये नहीं आ रहा. ठीक है, आपको नुपुर शर्मा पे सवाल पूछने, आप बेशक पूछिए, आप हमारे सवाल का जवाब भी तो देंगे कि नहीं देंगे? आप राजस्थान की जनता के सवाल का जवाब देंगे कि नहीं देंगे? कन्हैया लाल सुरक्षा मांगता रह गया, कन्हैया लाल सुरक्षा, आप क्राइम होने के बाद जहन्नुम से लोगों को ढूंढने क्यों जा रहे हैं? जब आपके राज्य में इस तरह की नारेबाजी हुई, आप अगर तभी एक्शन ले लेते तो ये हिंसा तक बात नहीं पहुंचती. हाउ डिफिकल्ट इज इट टू अंडरस्टैंड?
मैडम
Feroz Bakht Ahmed,
एक्शन हो
Feroz Bakht Ahmed,
देखो अब ये
if the government, if the administration of the police would have acted against these individuals, these provocators who were giving such hate. One second now, Sunny Dhiman, I have to indulge other guests as well. Feroz Bakht Ahmed साहब भी यहाँ पर हैं, उनकी भी बात सुन लेते हैं. अगर सरकार ने सही समय पर काम किया होता तो क्या ये नौबत आती?
All right. Thank you, Swati. I hope Mr. Dhiman will listen to what I am saying. See, still, you know, the Congress is speaking like this Congress supporter is speaking like an apologist, right? He is trying to balance everything by what was done by, Nopur. I mean, this is not the way. The voice of sanity and the voice of reason says that the person who had provoked this violence, right, that man, that is Cong-Chisti or maybe Sarwar Chisti and any other Chisti, now these people are defiling and demonizing a dargah which has its following all over the world. And these Sufia Karam, these Chistis, the real Chistis, you know, Hazrat Moinuddin Chisti or Hazrat Khwaja Nizamuddin Chisti, these people were so pious, so virtuous that the whole day they used to fast and the whole night they used to pray, and when they used to break their fast, then they used to distribute all that food, feasting items to the poor people around them. I do not know what kind of people these are. Unfortunately, lastly, give me just 10 seconds, Swati, to finish my point. It's very unfortunate that in India a double governance is working. One governance is the good governance of Modi, Amit Shah and team. The other governance is of these people who are misleading people, who are misguiding and provoking people, and that's why these murders by these people, the ones who hacked the neck of Kanhaiya Lal or maybe in of Umesh, it is because of these people's speeches and these people incite. This is very unfortunate. Whatever the government, whether it is Rajasthan government or it is the central government, immediate action has to be taken. Otherwise, the lives of so many Indians, 140 crore Indians, are at stake.
Mr. Dhiman, if you've heard Feroz Ahmed Bakht, I just want to ask you another question. चलिए आप अपने पीठ थपथपा रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं जमुन से भी इनको ढूंढ के लाएंगे. Cong-Chisti has been arrested. What about Sarwar Chisti and Issa? They continue to provoke people. What about them? When will you act against them?
Listen, महाराजा रंजीत सिंह ने एक आंख खो दी थी बचपन में बीमारी की वजह से, पर जो उनकी दूसरी आंख थी वो उससे सभी लोगों को बराबर देखते थे, और यही कांग्रेस पार्टी है. हम नाम देखकर गिरफ्तार नहीं करते, नाम देखकर छुपाते हैं. मैडम हम ये नहीं देख रहे कौन नुपुर शर्मा है, कौन चिश्ती है. हम तो उनको गिरफ्तार करेंगे, उन्हें जहन्नुम से भी ढूंढेंगे जो इस देश को डिवाइड करना चाहते हैं. एकदम सीधी बात कह रहे हैं आपको.
धीमन जी सुनिए, कन्हैया लाल जिसकी हत्या हो गई और गौहर चिश्ती जो तन से जुदा के नारे लगा रहा है, और वो शख्स सरवर चिश्ती जो देश को हिला देने की बात कर रहा है, और सरवर चिश्ती का जो बेटा है वो हिंदू देवी देवताओं का अपमान कर रहा है. आप विक्टिम को भी और भड़काने वाले को भी एक ही नजर से देख रहे हैं. ये है आपकी नीति?
नहीं, आप गलत बोल रही मैडम. हम नाम देखकर गिरफ्तारी नहीं करते, अपराधी को अपराधी देखते हैं, जैसे महाराजा रंजीत सिंह देखते थे.
नहीं तो अगर आप नाम नहीं देखते तो 27 दिन क्यों लगे गौहर चिश्ती को अरेस्ट करने में?
एक सवाल पूछना,
प्लीज गो अहेड.
हाँ देखिए धीमन साहब, मैं एक सवाल पूछना चाहता हूँ आपको. धीमन साहब, एक सवाल, छोटा सा सवाल है आपसे कि मैं बहुत देर से आपको सुन रहा हूँ. छोटा सा सवाल है, मैं रिक्वेस्ट कर रहा हूँ. मेरा सवाल ये है, जब सरवर चिश्ती साहब ने ये कहा कि जो हिंदू दुकानदार हैं ये इन सबको, इनसे सब सामान लेना छोड़ दो, इनकी दुकानें बंद कर दो, ताले लगा दो, क्या ये जायज है? क्या आपने जिस वक्त ये बात कही थी सरवर चिश्ती ने, आपने उसी वक्त उनको गिरफ्तार क्यों नहीं किया? क्या आपके और आपकी सरकार और सरवर चिश्ती के बीच में कोई खास कोई क्लैंडस्टीन कोई अंडरस्टैंडिंग है? आपको जब ये मुल्क को तोड़ने वाला बयान था, जहां वजीर आजम मोदी मुल्क को जोड़ने की बात कर रहे हैं, आप जैसे लोग मुल्क को तोड़ने की बात कर रहे हैं। आप हो या आपके दो सरवर चिश्ती या कोई और चिश्ती हो, आप जवाब दें अगर जवाब है।
जवाब दीजिए, क्या कोई कनेक्शन है? क्या वजह ये है कि सरवर चिश्ती के जो भाई हैं गुलाम मुस्तफा सीनियर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कांग्रेस लीडर है?
सर आपको अपनी वाइस चांसलर की सीट बचानी है, इसलिए आप ये
मैं ना चांसलर हूँ ना वाइस चांसलर हूँ।
रणजीत सिंह से
माय टेन्योर इज ओवर लास्ट ईयर, ठीक है, मैं फारिग हो चुका हूँ पिछले महीने में। आई एम नो मोर, आई एम नॉट आफ्टर एनी फ्रीबीज और एनी पोजीशन, आई एम अ कमिटेड, मैं एक राष्ट्रवादी और संस्कारवादी मुस्लिम हूँ, ठीक है, मुझे कोई चीज नहीं बचानी अपनी।
मिस्टर धीमन, आप सिर्फ गोल पोस्ट चेंज कर रहे हैं, सिर्फ गोल पोस्ट आप चेंज कर रहे हैं। सरवर चिश्ती के जो भाई हैं, सरवर चिश्ती के जो भाई हैं गुलाम मुस्तफा इज द सीनियर डिस्ट्रिक्ट कांग्रेस लीडर, इज दैट द रीजन व्हाई सरवर चिश्ती एंड हिज सन हैव बीन शील्डेड? ये वजह है क्या? इज दैट द रीजन?
मैडम देखिए, रिश्तेदारी होने से ना गुनाह कबूल नहीं होता है ना। वसुंधरा राजे के जो कई रिश्तेदारी थे ना, ज्योतिरादित्य सिंधिया, जो आपस में भाई लड़ते, एक ही पार्टी में
हद कर दी। नहीं, आज आपने हद कर दी बात कही। कोई भी सवाल आपसे पूछो, आपके पास जवाब नहीं। अनफॉर्चुनेटली नहीं, आप सही कर रहे हैं, एक्चुअली आप सही कर रहे हैं,
मत खेलिए, आप
जो कर रहे हैं ना बिल्कुल सही है, क्योंकि जब किसी के पास जवाब नहीं होता तो वो क्या करेगा? जवाब नहीं होता तो वो क्या करेगा? शुभ राष्ट्र सनी धीमन एंड इनफैक्ट a lot of leaders of the Congress party, whenever a question has been asked about the Ashok Gehlot administration and the government, one second, आप दूसरों को थोड़ा इन्वॉल्व होने देंगे आप? प्लीज सनी धीमन, आई एम रिक्वेस्टिंग यू, आप थोड़ा रुक जाइए। The question that all these Congress leaders are asking is, आप बार बार राजस्थान की सरकार को ब्लेम कर रहे हो, criticizing the Ashok Gehlot dispensation. Why has Nupur Sharma not been arrested yet?
Is Nupur Sharma a resident of Rajasthan? Did anybody kill in the name of Nupur Sharma? In fact, because somebody supported Nupur Sharma, they were killed. They were lynched in broad daylight. That happened in Rajasthan. You know, Sunny Dhiman should be ashamed of himself. At least as a youngster, he should not be doing the kind of defense that he's trying to attempt right now. This whole humbug of a talk about the fact that Congress party has ruled for 6 decades and we know how to promote amity in society and comity in society. Sunny, this is your Rajasthan where people have been lynched. Please understand the import of this huge.
Okay, I think we've lost that line with Shubhrashtra. We'll connect with her again. Sunny Dhiman, हाँ बोलिए।
Sunny, you are like a younger brother to me or maybe my younger son. मेरी बात सुन लीजिए, देखिए बात सुनिए। You are saying that excess of evil is Nupur. Okay, मान लिया उसने गलत बयान दिया था. She also asked for being pardoned. इस्लाम के अंदर रहम की बड़ी बात है, दूसरे पर रहम करना, माफ करना, ठीक है। तो आई बिलीव दैट शी शुड बी पार्डन। Even Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, he used 2 words to pardon people who harmed him, who were after his jugular, after his life. He said, "Ufu annahu." तुम्हें माफ किया, अल्लाह तुम्हें नेकी की तौफीक दे। This matter is finished. Don't bring in नुपुर शर्मा। मुझे आप ये बात बताइए कि नुपुर शर्मा को जिस शख्स ने भड़काया था, the person who provoked and incited नुपुर शर्मा, did any Hindu say कि मैं तो उस आदमी की, वॉट एवर हिज नेम इज, आई डू नॉट वांट टू टेक हिज नेम, कि मैं उस आदमी की गर्दन उतारूंगा? किसी हिंदू ने ऐसा कहा? आप यू योरसेल्फ आर अ लॉ अबाइडिंग हिंदू। मुझे बताइए, हाउ लॉन्ग विल यू से कि हम एक आंख से देखते हैं, यू विल नॉट टेक एक्शन अगेंस्ट दोज पीपल?
रेडिकलाइजेशन, लेट मी अगेन कम, रेडिकलाइजेशन जब एक धर्म, जब मेजोरिटी रिलीजन में होता है, वो माइनॉरिटी रिलीजन को भी उतने ही लेवल से दहशत में क्रिएट करता है। और जब ये दोनों कम्युनिज्म बन जाते हैं तो आपको पार्टीशन याद होगा।
ऐसा आपने वोट बैंक की तरह इस्तेमाल किया मुसलमानों को।
सवाल का जवाब देंगे नहीं इस पूरे।
आई एम सॉरी टू से, आप ऐसे बोले जा रहे हैं लाइक अ फॉग हॉर्न। यू आर कंटीन्यूअसली स्पीकिंग।
वक्त साहब, वी हैव Zubair Memon, political analyst on the broadcast. Zubair Memon, there is a Congress link which has come to the the fore now. Sarwar Chishti's brother is Ghulam Mustafa, a senior district Congress leader. Now the question that the opposition is asking is that the reason that why patronage is being given and a free run is being given to Sarwar Chishti and his son. और राजस्थान में मतलूब is still absconding. मतलूब पर कोई बात नहीं हो रही है. Gauhar Chishti has been nabbed after 27 days.
Yes, absolutely. We have recently seen, and the hashtag running on your news channel also says hashtag Congress Cong-Chisti League, and it's a very defined movement, and we should all condemn it. We have seen in last 15 days that some Congress persons are radicalizing the movement or radicalizing the people from their side, and we are seeing that same way some BJP persons are going on rampant murdering in Udaipur. The murderer in the Udaipur was linked with BJP. The Chisti is linked with Congress. Now, what we see here from here, that both these Brahmanical parties are just fighting on Nurakisti out there.
But it's the Congress party in government in Rajasthan. Act against everybody irrespective of the link. Whether it's BJP link, whether it's Congress link, whether it's some other link, act against them.
This is Congress link, and it's clear that that's a Congress person, and the murderer is from the BJP.
Sir, I'm saying take action.
Or Congress.
Why are you shying away from taking action irrespective? Irrespective.
मैम समझ नहीं रही है. चाहे कांग्रेस हो, चाहे बीजेपी हो, as Nalin Kohli was saying, take the line of law, whatever the law says. India has the largest law written by Ambedkar, follow the law. So get all this, come out of this party humbug.
ये बात समझने की जरूरत है मैम.
जी मेमन साहब, मैं ये कह रही हूँ, ठीक है, मैं ये कह रही हूँ, देखिए आप
भाजपा की सत्ता हो, पर इसमें जुल्म मुसलमानों पे हो रहा है.
जुल्म, देखिए सुनिए मेरी बात, जुल्म आम आदमी पर हो रहा है. कन्हैया लाल was not a Muslim. Kanhaiya Lal was not a Muslim. Let's not bring in religion every time. It's an act of crime. It's an act of crime, and we need to look at it that way. And there are individuals who are provoking sentiments. There are individuals who are taking law in their hands, and they need to be punished. We should only be looking at it that way. Religion को लाने से, किसी political party को लाने से जो agenda है सर, उसको dilute नहीं करते. That's all I want to say while wrapping up the debate. Thank you very much, Shubhrashtra and gentlemen, for joining us and for giving us your time. Moving on, Chennai is all set to host the 44th Chess Olympiad, which will begin from the 28th of July. The mascot for the event is a horse named Thambi, which means younger brother. Superstar Rajnikant launched the teaser of the upcoming mega event.
Welcome to Navakuri, Chennai. Welcome to Navakuri, Chennai. Welcome to Navakuri, Chennai. Welcome to Navakuri, Chennai.
playground in question belongs to the Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike. It is a government-owned property. Muslims are being allowed to perform namaz and prayers twice a year on the days of Ramadan and Bakrid. But non-Muslims are not being allowed to use this land for any religious and cultural activities. We are planning to have a Ganesha Utsav on this particular playground, and we are also putting up 25 to 30 stalls which sell Lord Ganesha's idols. We are submitting a memorandum to the BBMP Commissioner in this regard.
On November 17, 2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa got elected as the president of the island nation of Sri Lanka. With significant tax cuts and reduced revenue, the Gotabaya government ignored International Monetary Fund's warnings and directed the central bank to print currency in record amounts. 2020 brought in the COVID pandemic, and Sri Lanka's billion-dollar tourism sector suffered massively. In April 2021, Gotabaya announced that the island nation will only allow organic farming and banned the import of chemical fertilizers. As the economy suffered due to failed policies and pandemic, the mandatory organic farming and fertilizer ban angered farmers. Fast forward to March of 2022, the debt-ridden nation's inflation soared to 21.5%. As the economy dwindled, leading to acute shortages of food, fuel and essentials, the anti-government sentiment began picking up steam at a lightning speed. By April 2, 2022, the mass public resentment and condemnation forced the government to declare.
Let's now take a look at the top stories of the day. The monsoon session in Maharashtra Assembly has been delayed. The session scheduled to begin on 18th of July has been postponed until further notice. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare issued guidelines for the management of monkeypox after India reported its first confirmed case. As per the guidelines, international passengers should avoid close contact with sick people, dead or live wild animals. Ahead of the monsoon session of the Parliament tomorrow, Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao will hold a meeting of the Telangana Rashtra Samiti MPs. The meeting will be held to discuss party strategy for the upcoming session. A day after Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was hospitalized after he was tested positive for COVID-19, Prime Minister Modi spoke to the CM over phone today to inquire about his health. After the fifth straight day of heavy rains in Gujarat, death toll has risen to 43. The national highway connecting Mumbai has been closed again. State BJP President C.R. Patil has said that Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah are constantly monitoring the situation in the state of Gujarat. Amid ongoing devastation due to heavy rains, the death toll in Maharashtra has reached 102. IMD has issued red alert for Palghar district, where major rivers have breached the danger mark. Odisha has overcome rainfall deficit this monsoon due to torrential downpour in several parts of the state. During this period, 6 districts received excess showers, while 17 others received normal rainfall.
देश का प्रतीक है ये, हर हिंदुस्तानी के नजदीक है ये, हर डर को भगा देता है, हर देशवासी के अंदर जोश जगा देता है. Today I am here at Kishtwar and you can see the tricolor has been raised, and for this tricolor we have seen that how these brave hearts always try to ensure there is an unwritten commitment from their side that at any cost they will see this tricolor fluttering. For that even they are ready to take bullets on their body. For that they have even sacrificed their life. If today we are talking about peace and prosperity in Kashmir, it's only because of these brave hearts who had always been there for the people of the country, who had always been there for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We have seen that few months back, some of the politicians said that after abrogation of Article 370, there will be hardly anyone to hold tricolor in their hand. But you can see that how a new chapter has been scripted, how things have really changed and winds of change have already started blowing. And you can find these youngsters proudly looking towards the tricolor, 100 feet high tricolor, which can be seen from any of the hillock surrounding this Kishtwar town. After Kashmir Valley, Jammu region, now it is the Kishtwar where we have got this tricolor fluttering high. And every Indian's chest swells with pride when they look at the tricolor, because they know it is not only about tricolor, it is also about the sacrifice of our soldier. It's all, if we see the tricolor fluttering, it is not because of the blowing wind, it is because of the supreme sacrifice of each and every soldier. Let's talk to the youngsters. कैसा लग रहा है जब आज आप ये तिरंगा लहराते हुए देख रहे हैं?
सर, ये हमारे लिए एक प्राउड मोमेंट है। आज हम बहुत खुश हैं कि हमारे किश्तवाड़ जिले में इतना अच्छा काम हो रहा है।
कितना जोश आ रहा है?
सर, बहुत ज़्यादा जोश आ रहा है। हमें खुशी हो रही है कि किश्तवाड़ में ऐसा पहली बार हो रहा है कि 100 फीट ऊपर एक तिरंगा लहरा रहा है एक ऐसे चौक पर, तो हमें बहुत ज़्यादा गर्व हो रहा है किश्तवाड़ पर भी।
आपके लिए कितना इंस्पायरिंग मोमेंट है?
सर, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है, बहुत फील अच्छा आ रहा है,
गर्व फील हो रहा है, जोश आ रहा है
सर।
कोई जोश से भारत माता की जय करके कितना जोर से बोलेंगे?
भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय! भारत माता की जय!
कितना गर्व फील कर रहे हैं आज आप?
सर, बहुत अच्छा लग रहा है। पहली बार ऐसा देखा कि किश्तवाड़ में फ्लैग बना है।
Tears in her eyes narrate the whole story, because nobody had thought that this thing is going to really happen. But today, see how things have really changed. There's a lot of josh, there's a lot of enthusiasm among youngsters, and it's going to inspire millions of these youngsters when they will be looking at the tricolor. Definitely they will also be donning a uniform so that they can serve motherland India. It is the unwritten commitment of the soldiers that inspires each and every youngsters in the country. Unwritten commitment that at any cost they'll be serving country. Even for that they have to sacrifice their life. They are ready to do that. It is because of their sacrifice today we can see this tricolor fluttering high, and the josh is also high here in Kishtwar town. Pradeep Datta with Amit Bhartwaj for Times Now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Did a former vice president fraternize with a Pakistani spy? Was a former vice president involved in putting India's national security in jeopardy? Well, the BJP definitely thinks so. Let me tell you how it all began. A Pakistani journalist said that he had travelled to India on many occasions and he used the opportunity to spy on India for the ISI. He said that one such occasion was a conference for which he was invited by the then Vice President Hamid Ansari in 2010. Now that claim has been rubbished by the organizer of this particular event. But he confirmed that Hamid Ansari wanted Nusrat Mirza to be invited. But when he realized that the invite wasn't extended, the then Vice President expressed displeasure. He even went on to allege that Nusrat Mirza attended a 2009 event with Hamid Ansari on the Dais. He will be joining me in a few minutes from now, and you can hear it straight from him firsthand what exactly transpired. But first listen in to what the Pakistani journalist Nusrat Mirza had to say.
इंडिया के जो नफ्सियात है, उनका जो कल्चर है, उसको हम समझते हैं, उनकी वीकनेस को हम जानते हैं। अब मसला ये है कि पाकिस्तान में कोई आदमी ऐसा नहीं है कि उस हमारे जो पास जो एक्सपीरियंस है या जो हमने वहाँ तजर्बा हासिल किया, उससे कोई इस्तेफादा हासिल करने को तैयार नहीं है। खुर्शीद कुसरी ने मुझसे कहा कि भाई ये जो तुम इंफॉर्मेशन लाए हो, ये तुम इसको दे दो क्यानी को। उस जमाने में क्यानी दीजिए, ऐसा ही था। मैंने भाई मैं तो नहीं दूंगा, लेकिन आप देना चाहते हैं दे दें, मैं आपको ये दे के जा रहा हूँ। तो खैर वो उन्होंने दे दी थी। फिर बाद में किसी आदमी ने, एक ब्रिगेडियर ने मुझे फोन किया, कहा कि साहब ऐसी इन्फॉर्मेशन हमें और मिल जाए तो अच्छा। तो मैंने कहा भाई ये इन्फॉर्मेशन काफी नहीं है, इस पर ही काम करो। तो इनका एक रिसर्च विंग जरूर है, ये नहीं कह सकते कि आप ये लोग वहाँ के हालात को नहीं जानते हैं। हमारे जो आईएसआई जो है वहाँ के सारे शहरों के बारे में इनके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, उनकी जो लिविंग है, उनके यहाँ जो कमजोरियां हैं, जहाँ पर वो सब जानते हैं।
Well, Congress and former Vice President Hamid Ansari have come out to vehemently refute these allegations. Hamid Ansari's office even called it a litany of lies. They are baseless and part of a misinformation campaign, said the grand old party. Listen in to what the Congress had to say.
BJP is alleging that Mr. Ansari has done something anti-national, and the same BJP heads the government. Why have they left Mr. Ansari scot-free? What action have they taken? Or this is just a character assassination, just because Mr. Ansari belongs from the minority community, to show, to portray that nobody from the minority community can be a nationalist or can be a patriot for the country.
Well, claims and counterclaims are flying thick and fast, but the BJP stepped up its attack on the Congress party with what it called was evidence against Hamid Ansari. They alleged that an ISI spy was masquerading as a journalist and was given a free run by the then government and the Vice President. They also alleged that many Congress leaders too were part of the 2009 event, which was attended by Nusrat Mirza. Listen in.
जब ये प्रेस वार्ता खत्म हुई उसके बाद एक वक्तव्य हामिद अंसारी जी की तरफ से आया और मैं रीड कर दूं। मैं ये वक्तव्य रखना चाहता हूं जिससे कि बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो जाए कि उन्होंने क्या कहा। इट इज अ नोन फैक्ट दैट इन्विटेशन टू फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज बाय द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया आर ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, जनरली थ्रू द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स। हामिद अंसारी जी खुद कहते हैं कि पूर्व की कांग्रेस सरकार की सलाह पर उनसे मशवरा कर ही इन फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज को बुलाया जाता है। बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी। इसी तस्वीर में अगर आप देखें तो सरकार के बड़े वरिष्ठ मंत्री भी बैठे हुए हैं। कांग्रेस की सरकार के वरिष्ठ मंत्री मंच साझा कर रहे हैं। वक्तव्य है हामिद अंसारी जी का और यह तस्वीर है और ये सवाल है, क्या ये सत्य नहीं है? कांग्रेस पार्टी इसका जवाब दे। सोनिया गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए, राहुल गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए। तो क्या ये वाजिब सवाल नहीं है जो भारत की जनता आपसे पूछती है कि ऐसे व्यक्ति को वीजा क्यों दिया गया? आतंकवादी हमला हमारे देश पे किया जाता है और हमने ये भी बताया था कि आतंकवाद से कैसे लड़ना है ये कांग्रेस पार्टी पाकिस्तान के आईएसआई एजेंट से सीख रही थी। ऊपर लिखा है सेकेंड इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, उसके नीचे शीर्षक है टेररिज्म नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल। जो मुंबई का आतंकवादी हमला हुआ उससे 1 साल भी अभी नहीं बीता था, 1 साल भी नहीं बीता था। और बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी।
So the legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight is just simply, does Ansari's defense hold water? That's the question, and that's the debate coming up on the other side. Hashtag Hamid Pak charge, and the debate coming up.
You're watching the Newshour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
And joining me tonight on the Newshour, Dr. Shambit Patra, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Tehseen Poonawala, Political Analyst, Dr. Sumant Sriraman, Political Analyst, Manasvi Thapar, Lawyer. But my first question goes to the man who has brought out several
pieces of facts, as he calls them. Advocate Dr. Adesh Agarwal, Chairman of the All India Bar Association. Dr. Adesh Agarwal, the country is asking a question after the points that you've raised. You say that Mr. Hamid Ansari had asked Nusrat Mirza to be invited. You did not do so. You said he reduced his presence at the conference from 1 hour to 20 minutes. Hamid Ansari says absolutely nothing doing. I don't know the man. I have no relationship, never met him. Dr. Agarwal, how do you respond to that? It's your word against Mr. Hamid Ansari, who's been the vice president and held that high office for 10 years. Why should people believe you and not him?
This is, my question is, kindly don't believe me. Question is whether the vice president has come only for 20 minutes. Whether a president or vice president can leave the inaugural ceremony and inaugural ceremony is continuing. When I specifically asked Mr. Ashok Diwan that if Honorable Vice President is unable to spare the 1 hour which already agreed, why he is curtailing, so he told that he is annoyed. So I requested him not to come because it will bring down the reputation of country that the second head of the state is leaving the conference in the midst of the inaugural ceremony. No chief guest is staying in the entire conference, entire seminar. This is a fact. But inaugural ceremony, either you attend or not attend.
But what is the evidence? What is the evidence that Mr. Hamid Ansari wanted you to invite Nusrat Mirza? Was it said directly by him to you? Was it said through his office?
No. Through his office, Mr. Ashok Diwan, who was director at that time, and today also he is working as OSD to the present vice president.
And you're saying he was annoyed, so he did not stay. Did you know anything about Nusrat Mirza? Why did you not invite him if the vice president wanted him to come? Why?
I was not knowing the background, but that was not the ground. I have not invited even the Chief Justice of Pakistan, Iftikhar Mohammad Chaudhary, who was sitting Chief Justice of Pakistan and who happens to be the Vice President of International Council of Jurists. And I have not invited any Pakistani. All bar leaders are known to me. Because I am not invited, because we were going to discuss on international terrorism, and in India we feel that Pakistan is patronizing these terrorists.
So Mr. Nusrat
I was
Mirza,
not interested.
so
that
Mr.
when we are
Nusrat
discussing,
Mirza,
we are
did
blaming.
he come for the 2010 conference, yes or no?
No, he has not come. We have not invited him. So he can't, nobody can, unauthorized person can enter also. So he has not come, we have not invited in spite of the request of the Honorable Vice President.
So then let me ask Dr. Sambit Patra. I'm coming to you, Tehseen Poonawalla.
Can I cross-examine him just
one minute? He is the head of the Bar Council, and you want to cross-examine him without filing in a court. You want to cross. 1 minute. Let me ask Dr. Sambit Patra. Dr. Sambit Patra, अगर नुसरत मिर्जा जी आए ही नहीं थे 2010 में, तो परसों का प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस आपने किया किस इशू पे? क्योंकि नुसरत मिर्जा तो आए ही नहीं थे, नंबर 1. एंड नंबर 2, he came in 2009. That is the real issue. But the allegations that have been made or the statements that have been made by Dr. Agarwala can be easily answered by the OSD to the Vice President. And the Congress says, if you have any charge, if you can prove any charge, why don't you investigate the matter and take the due action against the former vice president. So what's stopping you?
See, Navika, there are two parts to the question. Part one, as far as the credibility of these whole accusations are concerned, and second, whether we would investigate and in fact take action against the former vice president. Coming to the first part of the question that you have asked, look, as far as Hamid Ansari and the Congress party are concerned, they were very conveniently only skirting around the first part, that 2010 Nusrat Mirza was not invited. And very conveniently they had, in fact, put behind the wheel that 2009 also, there was an event by Jama Masjid United Forum in which they had shared the Dais. And once these pictures got viral, once these pictures were out, in fact, the Congress party and Mr. Hamid Ansari were left with no other option. And that's the reason as to why they have retorted to just a single line denial. The second part is, just imagine what Mr. Agarwala says today. Mr. Agarwala says that Mr. Hamid Ansari, the then vice president, in fact for the International Jurist Conference on Terrorism, wanted that Mr. Nusrat Mirza should again be invited to India and should be a participant in the conference, and to which in fact the communication was made to Mr. Agarwala, the organizer, through his OSD, Mr. Diwan, Ashok Diwan. Of course, this shows that there was some kind of connection between the vice president and the concerned journalist, and this became a news, not because the Bharatiya Janata Party brought out the news. This became a news because the journalist in question, Mr. Mirza, he came out and accepted to the fact while he was being interviewed by a YouTuber that, look, I was invited by none other than the Vice President of India, and I worked for the ISI. I went to India, keeping all the rules aside. I should not have been allowed more than 2 or 3 times, but I went to 5 cities of India. The Vice President invited me, and all these informations I passed on to the ISI. So just imagine a democratic country like India, Pakistan being its better knower as far as peace process is concerned. It wants to bleed India, when such an important disposition comes by a journalist who was participant in various programs in India, that too concerning the vice president who has reigned the longest time in India as a vice president for 10 long years. Shouldn't this be a point of discussion? Of course this should be a point of discussion, and the onus squarely lies with the vice president, the then vice president, Mr. Hamid Ansari, to come clean on this. As far as the investigation and the second part of your question is concerned, well, Navika, I would say, look, this is the tactics of the Congress party. They would first tease you. Acha, agar humne galti kiya hai to hame investigate karo na. And the moment the ED calls them, then the hell breaks loose. I mean, 21st we are investigating Sonia Gandhi. We, in the sense, the country is investigating Sonia Gandhi on the National Herald case. She has been summoned by the enforcement director. For all these years, the Congress party was teasing us. Bula ke dikhao.
Any charge of against national security, ED can't investigate.
No, I gave you an example. I gave you an example of ED and Sonia Gandhi, that we were teased that even Sonia Gandhi is not being investigated. So as far as Hamid Ansari is concerned, categorically and very responsibly I will say, look, Vice President's post is a very important, coveted, revered post. These are serious allegations. Please don't think that these allegations are not under scrutiny. Of course, keeping in view the importance of the post, these scrutiny probably may not be in the public domain, but of course a lens would be cast on what happened.
Fair point, Dr. Patra. Now let me come and ask this question to Tehseen Poonawalla. And Tehseen Poonawalla, I know you are jumping, you are raising your hand, and you're extremely restless because you want to cross-examine Adesh Agarwala ji. But I will not give you that pleasure. Why? I'll tell you. I'm saying forget what Nusrat Mirza was saying. I'm saying forget what Mr. Agarwala is saying. I'm saying even forget the 2010 conference. Let's come to only one question on this debate, which I'm going to really stick to as a matter of fact, which is the picture on your screen.
That's right.
And that picture is of 2009. Within a year of 26/11, within a year of a terror attack on the heart of India, within a year when Mumbai was held captive for nearly 4 days, within a year of 157 people losing their lives, within a year of all of that happening, and within a year of losing braves who tried to protect people's lives, we see the former vice president sitting on the dais with a Pakistan journalist who even if I say, put aside that he's an ISI agent, the fact that he's a Pakistani and he's sitting on the dais at a time when the bilateral ties between the countries have been suspended following the 26/11 attack. What is that Pakistani doing on the dais with the Vice President of India, a constitutional position, possibly the number 2 in protocol after the President? I want to ask you, what is he doing there? Because you know and I know that any invitation to any VVIP means there is a rigorous manner in which the seating plan, the dais, the people, even the meters, how many meters does the VVIP have to walk to his chair, how many people will be sitting to his right, how many people to his left, how far will they be seated, and whether he is coming in from the left of the room or the right of the room. There is a proper drill that happens. Are you saying Mr. Hamid Ansari did not know who is sitting, and if he knew who is sitting, how was he discussing how to thwart terrorism with a Pakistani? Are the Pakistanis going to give us lessons on how to deal with terrorism in India 1 year after 26/11?
Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you so much for having me.
And I'm really appalled that you can smile when we are talking about 26/11.
Smile. Namaskar, ma'am. Thank you for having me. Sure. Namaskar to all my fellow panelists and all your viewers. Very long question. Lot of things said. Please give me the courtesy because I want to explain everything. But yes, like you were extremely appalled by the picture of the Honorable ex-Vice President.
And your smile.
Fair point. Like you were, I'm smiling because you're not allowing me to cross-examine Mr. Agarwal, because you know that I will be able to get the truth out, and therefore you've conveniently not allowed.
2009 stick to
correct. So then 2010 is a bogey. Do we accept that? Okay, now please
if it gives you pleasure, my friend,
but then allow me to give to the viewers.
It a bogey, but come to 2009.
Yes, but I will also beg of you to allow your viewers to understand, because there's a lot of confusion, perhaps deliberately, but I want to talk about
2009.
Which means 2010 is a bogey. Of course they are, and we bow down to them.
You will,
I will not.
Around them.
I will absolutely not. Please give me the courtesy. Please allow me. Let's talk to 2009 and then 2010. Please allow me to do both. 2009, just like you're appalled with that picture of the Honorable former Vice President with the Pakistani, just like all of us, including you, were rightly appalled when the Prime Minister went unannounced to Pakistan and invited ISI to India and continued to shoot when ISI created the incidents in various parts of our country. Like we're appalled with this picture. But what about this picture? As my friend Dr. Sambit Patra, the BJP spokesperson, rightly said, was an invite from the Jama Masjid Committee. Just to remind the viewers who are very intelligent, that the Jama Masjid Imam is the same gentleman the Honorable former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji went to ask that BJP votes for him. Point number 1. Now that the BJP, I request you, no, he went to ask for votes. But please, I request you, don't, and they were not interrupted, please, I request you. Now, the greatest
is
party...
asking for votes a crime?
Ma'am, please allow me to...
No, is asking for votes.
Sure, it's not. They went to the Jama Masjid Imam to ask for votes, it's not a crime. Second, the greatest and the most powerful political party on earth, the BJP, is of course, and rightly so, on national security, worked up about a YouTube video, which it should be. First they used to be worked out about WhatsApp, but it is true. But then 8 years in power with the BJP, could they not investigate what has happened? And I'll tell you why I'm doing this, and please allow me to link this to 2010, because the gentleman, Mr. Ashok Diwan, the IAS officer that Mr. Agarwal refers to, continues to be the Honorable OSD to the Honorable current Vice President of India. So if the IAS officer is doing illegal acts, it is my request to your channel, through Sambit ji and to Agarwal ji, now that you're such a learned lawyer, Agarwal ji, please Agarwal ji, right now on Times Now promise, you will file a police complaint against Mr. Ashok Diwan and against Mr. Hamid Ansari. So Dr. Sambit Patra for 8 years could not investigate, can begin an investigation and do something, because the intelligence has failed. One last point that your viewers must know. Right, Navika ji rightly pointed out what is protocol. The fact that Mr. Agarwal comes out and is making all these baseless claims, Mr. Agarwal and Dr. Sambit Patra, with respect to you, Dr. Patra, you know I have a lot of respect to you, can you put out Mr. Hamid Ansari's protocol list. Mr. Hamid Ansari, the Delhi police record shows that he was supposed to be in that program for 20 minutes. Did he change it overnight? Was the Delhi police not informed? Can you put that out? Can Mr. Agarwal produce one letter that Mr. Ashok Diwan or Hamid Ansari asked him to call A gentleman, B gentleman? But the fact is that Mr. Hamid Ansari is being repeatedly targeted from 2016, 2017. But one last example, I will end. Dr. Patra, you remember several leaders of your political party, the BJP that governs us, trolled the Honorable Vice President of India for not saluting the Indian Armed Forces in the Republic Day because Modi ji was saluting. Since then, 7 years, 7 Republic Days, Modi ji is never saluted, Venkaiah Naidu ji is never saluted because Modi ji was wrong in protocol. But you all went ahead trolling Hamid Ansari. The fact of the matter is, you all have a problem with Hamid Ansari, and that is the evidence out here.
As usual, whataboutery is what we've got. Dr. Patra, respond before I get in Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Patra, since pointed questions were asked of you, your response first.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
See, Navika, as to why we have certain questions about Hamid Ansari, as to why we are discussing about the credibility of Hamid Ansari, there is a history attached to it. Please draw from the bookshelf a very important book written by Mr. N.K. Sood, one of the top officials of the RAW, R-A-W, RAW. And please go to the pages of this book. What does the RAW official write? I mean, look, this RAW officer's book came into print even before we formed the government in the center. And this RAW officer, Mr. Sood, goes ahead to say that while Mr. Hamid Ansari was a diplomat in Iran, in Tehran, he saw to it that many of these RAW officers were exposed. Their life was put into jeopardy. Their life was put into street. It was thrown under the bus. And there was one Mr. Mathur who was even, in fact, abducted by the authorities in Iran because of this kind of nature of Mr. Hamid Ansari. And just not one official, many officials have in fact in their books or otherwise written so about or talked so about Mr. Hamid Ansari, including Mr. Yadav, who is a top RAW official, that in many countries where Mr. Hamid Ansari acted as a diplomat, he in fact was quite sympathetic towards reasons apart from India. And not just this, while it was the Sharia courts, while it was the Jinnah portrait discussion, while it was the triple talaq, while it was the Indo-American Muslim Council debate in US, we had heard as to what Mr. Hamid Ansari had to offer. So of course when these all add up with what happened on the dais, and we have the information that it was none other than Mr. Hamid Ansari who wanted Nusrat Mirza to be called, and Nusrat Mirza himself acknowledging the fact that he was called by Hamid Ansari and he was a spy. So what do you think? We should sit tight? We should not discuss, we should not ask question of Hamid Ansari? And as far as what are you doing about Hamid Ansari, because this is a democratic country, we are not a dictatorial body, we just don't go out pulling people out of their homes and charging them. We debate, we discuss, and of course we investigate. It's not that we don't investigate, but the investigation has its own time, it takes its own pace. Because we are a democratic country, our judiciary has its own ways.
Well, no, Tehseen, no, I'm sorry, Tehseen. Dr. Sumansi Raman, do you think is less qualified to answer the question? So please allow him. Dr. Sumansi Raman, why is there no explanation for the protocol and the dais arrangement? A pointed question. Can anybody sit next to a vice president or 3 people away without it being cleared by protocol of the vice president's office and the security that is with him? I want to ask you, so how was this Pakistani sitting next to the vice president during this conference 1 year after 26/11? You're on mute. Dr. Raman, unmute yourself.
Am I on mute? Okay, 1 second.
Okay, all right. Okay, we can hear you.
No, it says I'm on mute. Yeah. Can you hear me now? Yeah.
Yes.
Navika, 2-3 very quick points. Point number one, Mr. Nusrat Mirza is a person who must be believed because he said the United States caused the earthquake in Japan in 2011. He said that the United States caused the tsunami in 2004 by sending up a space plane X-738. So this is the kind of credibility of the man whose word you choose to believe, and I am appalled that we can believe the word of a Pakistani journalist over the word of your own former vice president. I mean, it is shameful. I mean, Mr. Hamid Ansari is on record saying he has no clue as to who this man was. He says, I did not invite him for any program. We will not believe him, but we will choose to believe a Pakistani journalist who is a specialist in conspiracy theories. Point number one. Point number two, let us come to this matter of the charges that are made against Mr. Mr. Ansari. It would take few minutes for Mr. Ashok Diwan to be questioned and asked, look, is this factually right? Did Mr. Ansari exert undue influence on you and force you to do this? Third point, Dr. Patra spoke eloquently about Mr. Sood's book. I mean, it is the allegations are shocking, and in 8 years, they have not thought it necessary to order an investigation. A man who they are effectively, Dr. Patra says, Mr. Sood accused him of throwing our own R&AW officials under the bus. I mean, that's a shocking charge. And in 8 years in office, they have not found it necessary to even order an investigation. I mean, that is as serious a security lapse as anything that one can come across. And let's be very clear, Navika, this gentleman, Mr. Agrawala, is, last point, Mr. Agrawala is not necessarily a politically non-aligned person. He is the person who has written the book Narendra Modi, Harbinger of Prosperity and Apostle of World Peace. He is also the gentleman who has filed a case against the wearing of the hijab. So let's be very clear that he is not here in his capacity merely as a lawyer, but he also has certain political alignments, period.
Well, let me get in Dr. Anand Ranganathan. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, some of the points about the credibility of Mr. Nusrat Mirza, are extremely valid, I would say, because some of the statements that he makes are outrageous. But the fact of the matter is, why is everybody just skirting the issue of the 2009 conference? The fact that Mr. Hamid Ansari was at the Dais and the fact that the Pakistani journalist was there within a year of 26/11 when there were no bilateral ties between India and Pakistan. Nobody seems to be commenting on that.
We were playing cricket with Pakistan in
good evening, Navika. It's absolutely smashing debate, wonderful debate, and I congratulate all my fellow panelists for making very many excellent points. But as to the points that I feel they have made that are suspect, please allow me to rebut them without interruption, because I have been waiting very patiently for my time. So let me start one by one. First with the good Dr. Raman, as to him saying, why would you believe someone who calls himself an ISI spy when he also believes in outlandish theory? Why, with that logic, why would anyone ever believe someone who believes in flying horses and man walking on water, or water turning to wine, or immaculate conception? I mean, these two things don't gel well. As to what Mr. Patra says, I agree with Dr. Raman that Mr. Patra has made a very serious allegation about research and analysis wing and the suspect role of Mr. Former Vice President in it. It has to be investigated, and just like Mr. Raman says, it has been 8 years. Dr. Patra, for him saying that these things take time, well, do they take 80 years or 800 years? If you can't do it in 8 years, what do you expect to do? Number 3, as far as Tehseen is concerned, of course, you're absolutely right. He's made a lot of whataboutery allegation, but can I please come to this topic, take a minute and then address Tehseen as well. Navika, I must say this, the matter is serious, and it must be investigated to its logical end, because it is a constitutional post, the second highest in terms of hierarchy, if I am not mistaken. And of course, it goes without saying that a man is innocent until proven guilty. The other thing, 2 things important that I have to say out here, that even though the matter is serious, the matter is not about the former vice president meeting a Pakistani. No, it's not, because to be honest, Mr. Modi also met, the Prime Minister of Pakistan. It is about him in the same room, possibly meeting an ISI spy. If you remember, around the same time, there was a gentleman called Ghulam Nabi Fai. Do you remember him? You did a fantastic show on it, I remember. He met a lot of Indian journalists, Indian diplomats and Indian politicians. Later turned out that he was convicted in a US court for being an ISI spy. I remember he in fact tried to recruit Gautam Navlakha as well. So the other thing, also around the same time, Navika, you must remember, we entered into this absolutely crazy Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. So soon after the 28/11, we entered into an agreement with Pakistan where Pakistan extracts this statement from us that India will also not interfere into Baluchistan and terrorism out there, which was absolutely shameful. So yes, our government at that time was doing some really crazy things. But it has to be said that the matter, and unequivocally I say this, the matter is not about the religion of the former vice president, as Tehseen, my good friend, is alleging. Because Ghulam Fai met a lot of non-Muslims and tried to recruit them as well. I don't care which faith the former vice president belongs to, as long as his allegiance is first and foremost to India. But it also has to be said, Navika, just 30 seconds, that it is Mr. Ansari himself who repeatedly brings up his religion. Who can forget? He's coining the euphemism Dara Hua Musalman. Sheer genius on his part. All around us, all we see are Dara Hua Musalmans. From Jammu, where Dara Hua Musalmans are shouting from top of mosque that they will behead Nupur and all those who oppose Azan and Hijab, to Hubli, where Dara Hua Musalmans are pouring onto streets because some Hindu kid photoshopped the Bhagwa flag, from Aurangabad, where Dara Hua Musalmans are rioting in the streets because someone Facebook post said Aurangzeb was a mass murderer, to Assam, where Dara Hua Musalmans are burning down police station. Everywhere you look, we see Mr. Ansari's Dara Hua Musalman. So thank you, Mr. Ansari, for being an oracle. And who can forget the man's antecedents for actually felicitating the PFI chief? So he comes with a baggage of history. But it is not about religion, it is about what he does. All that said,
absolutely,
I have to say this.
Absolutely.
With all responsibility, that it is this government's responsibility to investigate this.
Absolutely, you hit the nail on the head. And Manasvi Thapar, I want to ask you, it's not just about the Dara Hua Musalman, it's not just about the fact that a PFI functionary was honored by him, it's also about the fact that Yasin Malik meets the Prime Minister of that time, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and then a working group is set up, and working group which is chaired by Dr. Hamid Ansari actually recommends that people from across the world should be roped in so as to solve the Kashmir problem. Of course we are within our rights to ask the question, and the only question I continue to ask, how is Mr. Hamid Ansari, the former vice president, giving statement after statement that I don't know this guy, I have never met him, I have not called him. I'm willing to believe him because I have nothing against not believing a former vice president and believing a loony a former journalist, as Suman Raman wants to call him. The fact of the matter is, there is a picture. We know how protocol works for VVIPs in this country. How is a man on the dais without the knowledge of the vice president? And then if there is the knowledge of the vice president, why can't somebody answer this question? What's a Pakistani doing within a year of 26/11, trying to find ways to fight terrorism, for God's sake? A Pakistani teaching us after 26/11?
Good evening, Navika ji. Hope I'll get an uninterrupted time like my friend Anand ji got. You have asked some very relevant questions, but these questions need to be investigated. But the point when we talk about investigation, my learned friend Samit Patra says that we'll discuss, we'll debate, and right time of investigation when it will come, it will come. It is on the credibility of India. If an allegation of such by a fantasy journalist, Mr. Mirza, makes on the vice president of former vice president of India, and the ruling party says, "Yeah, wo to guilty hai. He was a sleeper cell," and they're okay with it. They don't want to investigate because that's a political gimmick for them. They want to play political cards, and I'll tell you why I'm correct on this is 8 July 2020, investigation was led on 3 Congress controlled trucks. trust, Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, Rajiv Gandhi Charitable Trust, Indira Gandhi Foundation, till date there is no investigation done. Even after investigation was started, there is no outcome. And after that, we had a huge hue and cry in the country on the pact being signed between Congress and China. No investigation done on that also. They believe in debates. They believe in giving press briefings, headlines. They don't believe in investigations because they know there is nothing there out in that investigation.
So explain to me.
Political points here. Let's make a political brownie
let's
points
actually
here.
no. Don't run away. No water boundary. Explain to me what is the honorable Pakistani. Let's forget he's a journalist. Let's forget he's dubious. What is an honorable Pakistani sitting on the dais for to discuss terrorism when there were no bilateral ties between India and Pakistan? They had been suspended after 26/11. What is he doing on the dais? Can you answer that one question?
Navika ji, he is not honorable for any Indian. I don't know how do you say
because he's sitting with the honorable vice president.
If he's sitting
with the honorable vice president of the time. What is he doing on the dais talking terrorism? He's a Pakistani, for God's sake.
Navika ji, let's investigate.
Let's investigate.
You
don't have an answer. You don't have an answer to that. So you are also doing whataboutery. Tehseen Poonawala, answer to me. What is that man doing on the dais in that conference where the vice president is there? What is he doing? I want you to answer just that one question, nothing else.
Very specifically, just that one question.
Hamid Ansari,
please, Anand, please.
We need to come out.
Manav, please, let me speak. My voice, I've been interrupted continuously. This Pakistani,
then you gave a full monologue.
This Pakistani is doing the same thing that Mehul Choksi was doing in the Prime Minister's house. If by this association, Hamid Ansari is guilty, by the same association in the Prime Minister's house, when Prime Minister is calling Mehul by Choksi in Davos, hanging around with Nirav Modi and taking pictures and selfies, the Prime Minister is guilty. So now we have to have the same yardstick. Hamid Ansari is guilty, so Modi ji is guilty. I don't think Modi ji is guilty. Number two, this program was organized by the Jama Masjid Committee. Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji went there for votes.
Anand Ranganathan, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, they are okay with comparing to a Pakistani sitting on the dais with the vice president. Can you please explain and give a sense of perspective to your own friends?
How was in PM's house?
Do you want to give a sense of perspective to Mr. Tehseen Poonawala?
2 months after this, we were playing cricket.
You know, Navika, I would have disowned Tehseen, but he treated me to a lunch, so I am being kind to him. Tehseen, enough of your whataboutery. Let me give you 2 reasons here. Number 1, Navika, when you talk about bilateral ties, can I please correct you? Because at the time this conference was held where all these people are kowtowing and, hobnobbing with the Pakistani spy, India had already entered into Sharm el-Sheikh agreement in 2009. Shamefully capitulating and agreeing that India will not interfere in the affairs of Pakistan, especially Baluchistan. Such a shameful thing. Tehseen hasn't answered that. He is the king of whataboutery, but he will not talk about Sharm el-Sheikh agreement. Secondly, I want to ask Tehseen a very simple question, which Dr. Raman also, put his hand on. Talking about this outlandish spy, outlandish. You know, there is a Congress leader right now, Tehseen, who believes that 9/11 was orchestrated by the US government. He's on record, there's a video of him. Do you know what his name is, Congress leader's name? It is Kanhaiya Kumar. Do you disown Kanhaiya Kumar? Do you want him to be sacked from Congress?
Well, let's ask that question to Dr. Sumansi Raman. Dr. Sumansi Raman, you want to respond?
Look, Navika, this is a question where we are dealing with very clearly the former Vice President of India. The topic is not Kanhaiya Kumar, and if that is what case,
so that's your answer. So that's your answer. And on the topic of the Vice President and the Kashmiri journalist being on the dais, the Pakistani journalist being on the dais, do you have an answer?
Not only did we have, one sec, Navika, one second. Yeah, I have an answer, 1 minute. The organizers should be the first ones to be questioned who extended the invitation. Second, question the Vice President's Secretariat, is this fact of what Mr. Agarwala is saying is actually true or not? It will probably take less than a day for the government to get all this information together, because some of them are even serving.
So the ball is back in the court of Dr. Sambit Patra, and Dr. Sambit Patra, instead of raising questions, everybody here is asking the question that you are the ruling party of India. Instead of raising questions, you must answer them.
Now let me answer this question right now in this forum. First and foremost, to all those hypocrites who are saying, just a second, to all those hypocrites who are saying, why do we have to believe a journalist from Pakistan? Don't you believe your own vice president? Where were these very people when a French journalist from, some other country said that there was a ghotala in Rafale? They did not believe their own CAG. They did not believe their own Prime Minister. Yes. They did not believe their own Defence Minister. But they chose to believe this French journalist. And today they are saying, why do you believe this Pakistani journalist? Now second very important point. All those people who are saying that this Pakistani journalist, Mr. Mirza, has no credibility. He is a dubious character. It's a matter of more concern. A man of dubious character who does not have any credibility shared Dais with the Vice President of India. You knew very well that he is dubious. You knew right from the very beginning, as you are claiming, that his credibility does not exist. But you wanted this man without any credibility, the man of dubiousness, to be seated next to the Vice President of India. And thirdly and very importantly, remember, it's not about religion. It is about the wine and dine club. There are journalists who belong to different religion, who were hell-bent to prove that Burhan Wani's father was a headmaster. There were just a second. There were journalists who belong to different religion. Religion has nothing to do with this, but they belong to a club. They belong to the wine and dine cottage industry club, and they were flourishing because all this existed. Now finally it's very clear. There are some tough questions. This is the truth. And as it is said, especially when it concerns a high office, a constitutional office of this country like the Vice President's office, Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. And that's the question the country is asking the former Vice President Hamid Ansari. Sir, this is not about who's saying what. The people of this country need to know, how does a Pakistani journalist get to share the dais with a Vice President without the Vice President saying yes to it, without the Vice President having a role in this? Because we all know protocol and security doesn't allow this to happen. And these questions must be answered because they concern the high office of this country, and it concerns the timing of that conference, 2009, a year after 26/11, where 157 people lost their lives, and India has never seen a terror attack of that kind, a terror attack that really sent bullets through the heart of this country, wounding it with the deepest of cuts. Thank you very much to my panelists for joining me on this debate. On the other side, Dharna mana hai. Yes, that's the hashtag. It's another storm in a teacup, and it almost seems to be like a build-up to the monsoon session of Parliament beginning on Monday. Secretary General of the Rajya Sabha released an order that spoke of how members of Parliament cannot use its precincts for any dharna or strike. Soon enough, the entire opposition was again up in arms, speaking of censorship, curbing the liberties of members of Parliament and general dictatorship by the Modi government. Ladies and gentlemen, here's what's funny. This exact notification with these exact restrictions have been issued every single year and before every session of the Parliament. And it's not like it started in 2014 after the Modi government came to power. On your screens are the notices issued by the Parliament Secretariat in 2022, 2009, 2013 and 2014. The last three are from the years when the UPA was in power. Even the wording of the notice is exactly the same, and that has triggered a fierce political fight. Now, this is not an isolated incident. Just ahead of the monsoon session, many such instances have come to the fore,
It started with the objections by the opposition wasn't invited for the unveiling of the national emblem atop the new parliament building. Then there was the problem with the national emblem, which has been made with an over-aggressive lion, and its character has been changed. The next day, words expunged routinely from parliament proceedings called unparliamentary words. It's raining controversies and confrontation. And the opposition has just one refrain, that democracy is dead. So the legitimate question we are asking on the news hour, is compulsive criticism the new routine? That's the question and the debate.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 2 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
And joining Dr. Sambit Patra is Dr. Shashi Panja, Minister in charge, Department of Women and Child Development and Social Welfare and National Spokesperson of the Trinamool Congress. Good evening, ma'am, and I want to ask you, same orders come out in 2009, 2013, 2014, and nobody has an objection. But today, the refrain is, oh God, democracy is dead. Are we becoming compulsive objectors and calling the Modi government a dictator government? Just like that?
Navika ji, it's nice to see you to be back, because this is my first show after you got back. And of course, it's not nice to see the bulldozer in the Parliament House complex. So is the bulldozer finally arriving there, unless and until the bulldozer word is going to be abolished again from there? So it's actually not that the compulsive criticism is the new routine. It should be compulsive discussion should be the new routine. Ma'am, we just have, there is a confusion, because I have been joining various debates. We have been listening to various BJP spokesmen too. We heard the speaker, so there has to be a clarity. That some say it is a compilation. The speaker also said that, well, I'll be there, so I will decide. So we need to be sure that we need not, really demonstrate and protest. But you mentioned about that this was a routine, that words are compiled and they are published, etc.
But that was yesterday. Today it's about the dharnas.
Yes, ma'am. It's one is leading to the other. So you are gagging inside, and then suppose we protest, you throw us out or you suspend us, and then we now can't even have a dharna in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue. You saw in the monsoon session. So what is wrong? Was there a very uncivil dharna there? What is wrong? It is, like you have a parliamentary procedure, there is a fundamental right to protest, peaceful protests. Where have you seen violent protests in front of Mahatma Gandhi's statue? So now you're saying, no, not there. Get out of the Parliament House complex. What's the fear? Let's have a healthy discussion in Parliament. Maybe we don't need any protests at all.
Dr. Patra, are you gagging members of Parliament? They can't speak, now they can't protest. Kya kar rahe ho?
Just imagine, get up in the morning, 6 o'clock, they are speaking, and by the time you are going to the bed, they are speaking and they are protesting. These perpetual protesters want to protest yet more. So best of luck to them. No one is stopping their protests anywhere. But what is appalling, what is disturbing is, the same circulars which have been out in 2009, 2013, 2014, with the same words. I have the dates also with me. 9th February 2009, circular number 6522, December 2, 2013, 3rd of February 2014, and it reads the same thing. Members are requested to not to use the precincts of the House for any demonstration, dharna, strike, fast, or for the purpose of any religious ceremony, etc. This has been the wording of all the 4 letters. So there is no change, comma, full stop, the same letter. So suddenly they have to manufacture an issue, because no issue to sit on a dharna exists today. Manufacture an issue, create a situation, and then go on a demonstration. This is what the opposition wants to do. Just imagine the situation that they have taken to the country.
Sambit ji, Sambit Patra ji, speak from the heart. No, she called me. Navika ji asked me to respond.
Dr. Panja, in the same circular earlier did not disturb you. Why are they disturbing you today?
Navika ji, there are no issues to be discussed. That's what Sambitji was just saying. There is no other issue that the opposition wants to discuss. Believe me, unemployment, farmers' bills, petrol, gas, diesel prices, so many things, the rupee all-time low, we all want to discuss this. Now you're waking up to the idea of discussion. Where was this in the previous budget session or even before that in the monsoon session or in so many sessions that we have? You have not allowed discussion.
Dr. Patra,
either on a sound
Dr. Patra.
Where was the discussion?
Okay, Navika, they want discussion, well and good. Everyone is ready for the discussion, but the issue is, just look at these issues which have cropped up in the last 1 week. Why the lion, in fact, on the top of the new parliament building does not show the 4 teeth? It should be showing its 4th teeth. Why it is showing an extra teeth? Why इसका 2 मूछे ऐसा क्यों है, ऐसा क्यों नहीं है उसका मूछ? और ये जो unparliamentary words, these unparliamentary words is something which is quite new, despite the fact that they had huge, thick, fat dictionaries with unparliamentary words, and now with this same circular repeating itself, they have a problem. So because there is a dearth of the real issues, if you really want to discuss on employment, I have never seen you holding a press conference on employment. Even today's press conference of the opposition parties was on the circular. Yesterday's press conference was on the unparliamentary word. Day before's press conference was on the lion, the Sarnath lion, the Ashok Pillar lion. So in fact, these non-issues have become the core issues for the opposition, and that's the reason as to why they have reduced themselves to article of ridicule today in Indian politics. People don't take these opposition leaders seriously anymore. And most importantly, what I am really confused about is, if you really want to...
I'd like you to refrain from doing that. Well, opposition can never be
Rahul Gandhi,
unnecessary. Opposition can never be unnecessary. Our constitution makers and writers did think of a role of the opposition, which you played from 2004 to 2014. So let's not diminish the role or the rights of the opposition. But yes, many would ask, is there much ado about nothing, about old circulars which are being brought out again? Or is there really some truth to the charge being made by the opposition? Well, let's wait and watch. They want debate, they want discussion. Will we see discussion and debate on the floor of the House when Parliament convenes on Monday, 18th of July? Well, we'll wait to watch that. Thank you very much to both my esteemed guests, and thank you very much, viewers, for watching me and the show on the Newshour at 9. Good night. Be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issues, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
Draupadi Murmu ji is also a decent person, but she represents a very evil philosophy of India. Yashwant Sinha ji is also a very good candidate. Draupadi Murmu ji is also a decent person. But she represents a very evil philosophy of India. So we should not mistake Draupadi, we should not make Draupadi Murmu ji as a symbol of Adivasi.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The playground in question belongs to the Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike. It is a government-owned property. Muslims are being allowed to perform namaz and prayers twice a year on the days of Ramadan and Bakrid. But non-Muslims are not being allowed to use this land for any religious and cultural activities. We are planning to have a Ganesha Utsav on this particular playground, and we are also putting up 25 to 30 stalls which sell Lord Ganesha's idols. We are submitting a memorandum to the BBMP Commissioner in this regard.
On November 17, 2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa got elected as the president of the island nation of Sri Lanka. With significant tax cuts and reduced revenue, the Gotabaya government ignored International Monetary Fund's warnings and directed the central bank to print currency in record amounts. 2020 brought in the COVID pandemic, and Sri Lanka's billion-dollar tourism sector suffered massively. In April 2021, Gotabaya announced that the island nation will only allow organic farming and banned the import of chemical fertilizers. As the economy suffered due to failed policies and pandemic, the mandatory organic farming and fertilizer ban angered farmers. Fast forward to March of 2022, the debt-ridden nation's inflation soared to 21%.
welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda. I'm Padmaja Joshi. Former Vice President of India, Hamid Ansari, is in the middle of a controversy of supposedly fraternizing with the Pakistani spy and then trying to cover it up. It all started with the Pakistani reporter saying on a YouTube channel that he had travelled to India on many occasions when the UPA was in power and that he used the opportunity to spy in India and passed on the information to the ISI. He said that one such occasion was a conference for which he was invited by then Vice President Hamid Ansari. This is where things started unraveling. The Congress and Ansari both released statements saying that the insinuations of this man are baseless and that the BJP is unnecessarily using somebody discredited like Ansari, in fact like Mirza, to attack a former VP. As a defense, the Congress also said that Hamid Ansari never invited Mirza and he had never met him, and that he actually had come to India, that the Pakistani reporter had come to India to participate in an event called International Conference of Jurists on International Terrorism and Human Rights held on December 11, 2010. Now pay attention over here. Remember this date. There is one event that supposedly took place in 2010. It was organized by the International Conference on Jurists, but now the organizer of this very 2010 conference has stepped up and contradicted Hamid Ansari and the Congress. He says that while he did invite Ansari to a conference in 2010, he was not present. That in fact the Pakistani journalist attended an event, but that is an event from 2009 and not 2010. Agarwala, the organizer, has also put out a picture, the picture that you see on your screen right now, of the conference where the Pakistani was present. This conference took place on October 27, 2009. And it is this conference by the Jama Masjid United Forum where Hamid Ansari and Nusrat Mirza were both seen together. Also seen on the dais are the Shahi Imam of Jama Masjid, Farooq Abdullah, Ghulam Nabi Azad, and among the organizers along with the Shahi Imam was then Congress leader Kapil Sibal. This has raised serious questions about whether the Congress and Hamid Ansari misrepresented facts.
This is totally wrong to allege that Pakistani journalist turned spy attended our function. This is totally wrong that we ever invited him. Neither we invited nor he attended any of our conference, but to speak of the conference held on 11th and 12th of December 2010 held in Vigyan Bhavan in New Delhi. Director in Vice President Secretariat in Vice President House, and he told that Honorable Vice President want that a senior journalist, Mr. Nusrat Mirza from Pakistan, should be also invited to attend your conference. So I have not said anything at that time because these are very sensitive matters, because we were discussing on the issue of international terrorism and human rights.
Now the BJP today snapped up the issue and questioned whether an ISI spy masquerading as a journalist was indeed invited and given a free run by the then Vice President and the UPA that was in government. They have also specifically put the Congress in the dock, pointing out at how there were Congress leaders not just present along with Nusrat Mirza and Hamid Ansari, but they were also involved in the planning of the event.
जब ये प्रेस वार्ता खत्म हुई उसके बाद एक वक्तव्य हामिद अंसारी जी की तरफ से आया और मैं रीड कर दूं। मैं ये वक्तव्य रखना चाहता हूं जिससे कि बिल्कुल स्पष्ट हो जाए कि उन्होंने क्या कहा। इट इज अ नोन फैक्ट दैट इन्विटेशन टू फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज बाय द वाइस प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया आर ऑन द एडवाइस ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट, जनरली थ्रू द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स। हामिद अंसारी जी खुद कहते हैं कि पूर्व की कांग्रेस सरकार की सलाह पर उनसे मशवरा कर कर ही इन फॉरेन डिग्निटरीज को बुलाया जाता है। बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हामिद अंसारी जी। इसी तस्वीर में अगर आप देखें तो सरकार के बड़े वरिष्ठ मंत्री भी बैठे हुए हैं। कांग्रेस की सरकार के वरिष्ठ मंत्री मंच साझा कर रहे हैं। वक्तव्य है हमीद अंसारी जी का और यह तस्वीर है और ये सवाल है, क्या ये सत्य नहीं है? कांग्रेस पार्टी इसका जवाब दे, सोनिया गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए, राहुल गांधी जी जवाब दीजिए। तो क्या यह वाजिब सवाल नहीं है जो भारत की जनता आपसे पूछती है कि ऐसे व्यक्ति को वीजा क्यों दिया गया? आतंकवादी हमला हमारे देश पे किया जाता है और हमने ये भी बताया था कि आतंकवाद से कैसे लड़ना है, ये कांग्रेस पार्टी पाकिस्तान के आईएसआई एजेंट से सीख रही थी। ऊपर लिखा है सेकेंड इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस, उसके नीचे शीर्षक है टेररिज्म नेशनल एंड इंटरनेशनल। जो मुंबई का आतंकवादी हमला हुआ उससे 1 साल भी अभी नहीं बीता था, 1 साल भी नहीं बीता था, और बीच में बैठे हैं तत्कालीन उपराष्ट्रपति हमीद अंसारी जी।
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Alright, joining us on the debate, Tawseefur Rahman, political analyst, Ashutosh Mishra, senior journalist, Deepak Jha, political analyst. But my first question is to you, Shazia Almi, national spokesperson of the BJP. Isn't there something fundamentally, I'm sorry, Karan Verma, political analyst, also here with us. Isn't there something fundamentally problematic, Shazia Almi, by taking the word of a Pakistani about our own vice president? Why should we believe him?
Well, we're just not believing the Pakistani journalist. We're also looking at the photographs, and the pictures say a lot of things, and there's photographs also have been released by Mr. Agarwala, and we can see this gentleman sitting next to the cabinet ministers of the day, along with Vice President. And not just that, we also now know that he was a special guest and he was given a special visa in very troubled times. You know, the Mumbai terror attacks took place. And those troubled times, he got the visa not once but many times. And not only was he allowed to travel to 1 or 2 allocated places for which they get permission, but 7 places, and in quick succession. And not just that, there was insistence by the Vice President and the like for him to be present, and pressure made and built on the organizers to ensure his presence presence of this Pakistani spy in the gathering at the table.
Couple of claims that you have pointed out. So let's fact check them.
It is not his word against.
Okay, so now it is not the word of Nusrat Mirza. It is the word of Adish Agarwala. Deepak Jha, we start by wondering कि ये झूठ क्यों बोला? ये क्यों बोला कांग्रेस ने कि वो 2010 के इवेंट में आए थे जिसको इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ जूरिस्ट ने ऑर्गेनाइज किया था, जबकि उधर तो नुसरत मिर्जा प्रेजेंट ही नहीं थे। वो तो साफ बोल रहे हैं ऑर्गेनाइजर कि हामिद अंसारी साहब ने बोला उनको बुलाओ, बट हमने नहीं बुलाया। वो 2009 में ऐसी जगह मौजूद थे जहां पे कांग्रेस के नेता थे, शाही इमाम थे, हामिद अंसारी साहब थे। झूठ क्यों बोला?
देखिए, हिंदुस्तान में कोई भी कहीं भी कभी भी रह सकता है। पहली बात, हामिद अंसारी जी और नबी साहब उस टाइम के वाइस प्रेसिडेंट थे, अंसारी साहब, और गुलाम नबी जी मिनिस्टर थे भारत सरकार के। बात ये नहीं है, बात आज ये है भाजपा को दर्द इतना क्यों है।
सर आप ये बताइए ना कि डेट गलत क्यों बताई? ये बताया गया कांग्रेस के द्वारा और हामिद अंसारी के द्वारा कि 2010 के इंटरनेशनल कॉन्फ्रेंस ऑफ जूरिस्ट में मैं प्रेजेंट था और मैंने नहीं बुलाया, ये तो ऑर्गेनाइजर ने बुलाया। अब ऑर्गेनाइजर ने कह रहा है भैया मैंने तो बुलाया ही नहीं।
डेट की बात करते हैं,
मेरे तो कभी इसमें इवेंट में था ही नहीं।
यहाँ पे साजिया इल्मी जी बैठी हैं, बताएंगे मोदी जी नवाज शरीफ की पोती की शादी में किस डेट को गए थे पाकिस्तान? नहीं बताइए सवाल।
अरे नवाज शरीफ उस वक्त
बताए
ना,
सुनिए तो,
हेड ऑफ स्टेट गोइंग फॉर अ हेड ऑफ स्टेट इवेंट इज अ डिफरेंट थिंग। तो नुसरत मिर्जा कोई प्राइम मिनिस्टर नहीं है।
देखिए इतनी हल्की बातें
किसने कहा कि जासूसी करे?
वो खुद कह रहे हैं।
क्या बोला उन्होंने? पूरा वीडियो देखा साजिया इल्मी ने? आपने? मैंने पूरा वीडियो देखा। मैंने कहा नहीं, मैंने पूरा वीडियो देखा, पूरा 50 मिनट का वीडियो एक बार नहीं 3 बार देखा। उस 3 बार में उन्होंने कभी नहीं कहा कि मैंने भारत में जासूसी किया। उन्होंने एक कहा है,
उन्होंने साफ साफ बोला है कि मैं यहाँ पे आया और
यहाँ के इकोनॉमी समझे,
शहरों में गया और जो मैंने एनालिसिस
सर्विस की इंडिया की, वो मैंने आईएसआई को दी। अरे आईएसआई को वो मौसम का मिजाज छोड़ना बता रहे होंगे।
मेरे साथ पाकिस्तानी डिबेटर थे, आज पत्रकार भी थे, उन्होंने कभी ये नहीं कहा कि मैंने पाकिस्तानी आईएसआई एजेंट को दिया। और अगर आईएसआई एजेंट को दिया तो फिर आप तो शर्मसार की होने की बात यह है कि पठानकोट, उरी और पुलवामा ये सब होता है, और भारत सरकार मोदी जी, जिसके साजिया अलवी जी प्रवक्ता है यहाँ पे, उनको इजाजत देते हैं यहाँ पे आने के लिए। ये तो शर्मसार है, डूब मरना चाहिए इनको।
2009 की बात कर रही हूँ। पहली बात, एक आदमी यहाँ पे आया, आपने बेसिक सवाल का जवाब नहीं दिया।
सवाल मेरे पास बिल्कुल सही है। मैं
2009 में ये आदमी आया 26/11 के कुछ महीनों बाद। पहली बात तो आपने गलत बोला कि ये 2010 में आया और उस आदमी ने बुलाया जो कि ऑर्गेनाइजर था। अब अगर आप 2010 का ब्लेम ऑर्गेनाइजर पर डाल रहे हैं तो 2009 में ऑर्गेनाइजर थे जामा मस्जिद के शाही इमाम और कपिल सिब्बल जी। तो क्या कपिल सिब्बल जी ने ये जानते हुए उनको बुलाया यहां पे कि वो पाकिस्तानी स्पाई हैं या फिर वो सस्पिशियस एक्टिविटी में इन्वॉल्व हैं?
अब देखिए, आपको फिर तो नुसरत मिर्जा का भी पूरा स्टेटस चेक करना पड़ेगा कि वो कौन है। बाय द वे, आप भी चेक करिए, भाजपा वाले भी चेक करें कि वो आईएसआई एजेंट है या जर्नलिस्ट है। क्योंकि अगर जर्नलिस्ट पे सवाल उठ रहा है तो पूरी मतलब मैं तो कहूंगा पूरे हिंदुस्तानी, पूरे वर्ल्ड की जर्नलिस्ट कम्युनिटी पे सवाल उठ रहा है कि वो पत्रकार नहीं है, वो रॉ के एजेंट हो सकते हैं, आईएसआई के एजेंट हो सकते हैं। और पाकिस्तान में कहीं किसी
खुद बोल रहा है कि मैं यहाँ पर स्पाई
अरे भैया, वो कह रहा है मैं
ऑब्वियसली जो स्पाई करने आता है वो यहाँ लिख के थोड़ी ना आता है।
क्रेडिबिलिटी क्या है?
पेशा है स्पाई,
उसकी क्रेडिबिलिटी क्या है?
पत्रकार के भेष में आएगा, वो किसी और भेष में आएगा और यहाँ पे जासूसी करेगा।
मैडम, मेरे पास किसी इंडियन जर्नलिस्ट ने दिया है, वो नेम ड्रॉपर पत्रकार है, वो लोगों का नाम बर्बाद करता है, लोगों का नाम गिराता है। किसी यूट्यूबर को इंटरव्यू दे दिया और कहता है
यहाँ पर नुसरत, वही तो मैं कह रही हूँ, आई स्टार्टेड बाय सेइंग दैट लेट्स नॉट बिलीव दिस मैन।
यस,
ही इज अ नोबडी। फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, ही इज अ पाकिस्तानी, वी डोंट वांट हिज ओपिनियन ऑन एनीथिंग, बट द प्रॉब्लम हियर इज that it is emerging that the facts we were told about the event itself, Karan Verma, are turning out to be problematic.
Madam,
we still haven't been told that this 2010 event, which was used as a cover, Nusrat Mirza was never there. He was in a 2009 event. Who allowed him to come in?
Madam,
and just a second, let Karan Verma answer, then I'll bring
it. 10 seconds. I want 10 seconds. You said Adish Agrawal, because Adish Agrawal was sleeping 8 years he was sleeping. Okay. He didn't allowed to come in his program. वो क्या कर रहे थे भाई? बुलाया क्यों नहीं? जाके रिपोर्ट क्यों नहीं किया गवर्नमेंट को, रॉ को, एजेंसी को रिपोर्ट क्यों नहीं किया?
अग्रवाल इतने साल से क्या कर रहे थे?
जागी है।
14 years have passed Karan Verma, and today Adish Agarwal is stepping up and saying that Hamid Ansari
Adish Agarwal just got to know that he was a spy.
अरे मैडम,
because Hamid Ansari,
irrespective,
I'll give you an answer. I'll give you an answer. अरे दीपक जी,
अरे मैडम, आदिल वर्मा को किसने बताया? आप तो बता दो देश को।
अच्छा, एक
आपके पाकिस्तान के साथ क्या कनेक्शन है कि नरेंद्र मोदी जी जाते हैं शरीफ के?
आपने उनको वर्मा बना दिया। चलिए करण वर्मा से जवाब ले लेते हैं। करण वर्मा,
सॉरी फॉर
don't try to deviate from the topic. 2009 में, when this happens, Padmaja, in 2009, this is less than a year after 26/11, so it's even more alarming that this happens in 2009. And secondly, Padmaja, I just want to put this entire thing in perspective. Nusrat Mirza was invited 5 times in a matter of 6 years, from 2005 to 2011, and he was granted a visa for 7 cities. Generally, the norm is of 3 cities. I mean, he was given special privileges.
But terms and conditions, Mr. Karan Verma, you have to understand.
Might have been the vice president.
ये रूल नहीं है कि पाकिस्तानी व्यक्ति को वीजा नहीं मिलेगा और यहीं तक का मिलेगा। टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस अप्लाई। वीजा लेने अगर आप अप्लाई करेंगे तो देयर इज रिटर्न। ऐसा नहीं कि आप अमेरिका का जाएंगे वीजा लेने तो सिर्फ 6 महीने का मिलेगा, इसको 10 साल का भी मिलता है।
And Hamid Ansari, look at the litany of statements he's come up with in the past few years. I mean, he attended the IAMC.
Clarify this, because Karan Verma, here you have Deepak Jha saying that one of the examples being given of Nusrat Mirza getting special privilege is that instead of 3 cities, he was allowed to travel to multiple places. Deepak Jha is saying कि ऐसा कोई रूल नहीं है।
टर्म्स कंडीशन अप्लाई फॉर नॉर्मल पीपल जो पत्रकार नहीं है। अगर आप भी पाकिस्तान जाएंगे, आपको लाहौर का नहीं, कराची का नहीं, पाकिस्तान के कई शहरों का वीजा मिल जाएगा आपको।
Everyone is asking for there should be a judicial probe.
Shazia Alvi, respond. There is no such rule.
No, I think so. See, I can answer. I don't listen to such shallow, arguments, and I cannot answer to that. But I will just. Everybody knows how it's done. You can only visit 1 or 2 places, and in fact, you have to report to the police station the minute you come in. The rules apply to both Indian and Pakistani citizens in the respective countries when they travel to either of those. Everybody knows about that. There is no ambiguity. So let's not confuse the issue. There is nothing to be confused about. 2, why did this man get access and these visas and special visas where he could travel to 7 cities? Nobody gets. I have relatives in Pakistan who apply and wait, and they can only come either to Delhi and Lucknow, at most Kanpur, but they can't go to the 4th place. Even if there's a wedding in Agra, they cannot go because they don't have the permission. So that's one thing. So I don't know why this man was given that. And also, why do we find, if this man was just a journalist, why would we find this man sitting at the table where a conference is taking place along with the cabinet ministers? And also, why would he get access to this country again and again and again and again? And also why would Hamid Ansari insist on his presence and put pressure on the organizer to have him there?
Okay,
the reason why others
if indeed this man is a nobody, he's a name dropper, he's a pretender,
I have nothing to do with
then
it.
why is he
I have
such a hot
nothing to do with
favorite?
it.
नहीं मैं शाजिया जी को सिर्फ नहीं पूरे पैनलिस्ट को बताना चाहता हूं, पूछना भी चाहता हूं। पहले तो जो ऑर्गेनाइजर है उनसे पूछताछ करनी चाहिए, उनको इंटीग्रेट करना चाहिए कि भैया ये कैसे आते थे, उनको एक जगह का ऐसे अमूमन ऐसे ही होता है कि सिर्फ दिल्ली का वीजा मिलता है, उनको बॉम्बे और कलकत्ता जाने को नहीं मिलता, चाहे वो डिप्लोमेट भी क्यों ना हो। नाउ द सेकंड क्वेश्चन इज दैट this guy is been seeing on the same podium with all the Congress leaders and especially Honorable ex-Vice President of India Hamid Ansari साहब। Now the thing नहीं अब सुनिए, बात ऐसी है कि अगर कोई पोडियम में एक साथ बैठा, उसके साथ उसकी तस्वीरें आ गई हैं, तो इसको आप पुख्ता सबूत नहीं दे सकती, क्योंकि आपको यह भी सोचना पड़ेगा, हाल ही फिलहाल उदयपुर का जो मर्डर हुआ था, तो दोनों आरोपी जो थे बीजेपी के ऑफिस में घूमते फिरते थे, बट मैं नहीं कह रहा हूं कि वो बीजेपी के साथ थे, ठीक है। इसी तरीके से फोटोज मगर हाँ, आपको ये भी आर्टिकल पढ़ना बहुत जरूरी है कि आईएसआई सुनिए आईएसआई और रॉ दोनों ने मिर्जा की बातों को रबिश कर दिया है कि हम इतने इनकॉम्पिटेंट नहीं हैं कि हम मिर्जा के बोलने पे सारी हकीकत को जमा करते हैं। सो यू नो आईएसआई, शाजिया जी, ISI and RAW has rubbished the report of Mirza.
Where has ISI and RAW rubbished reports?
Now
what is this new intelligence that you have that ISI and RAW have rubbished reports?
Yes, I have an article. I have an article. When I was going through that I have to do this debate, I was going through
coming back to the point.
I can share
coming back to the point.
And that being said, Tawseef Rahman, you will never expect any intelligence agency to say, हाँ वो हमारा जासूस था. What do you expect? That today the ISI will say कि हाँ जी गौर मिर्जा हमारे ही कहने पे गए थे, हमें आकर के डॉगियर दे रहे थे. Nobody is going to own up to a spy. But the question here is more specific. Okay, I'll ask you a very specific question. You yourself agreed that Nusrat Mirza seemed to be getting preferential treatment. The question is why? Why was he being given these privileges if he is a nobody?
Why exactly? Even I am asking why.
The UPA government must answer. Why is somebody of Pakistani origin being given a free run of the country?
But the thing is that do not drag Hamid Ansari.
But the organizer is saying, Adish Agarwala is saying that when the 2010 seminar happened, I will tell you why there is a connection now to the former vice president. Because Adish Agarwala of the 2010 conference is saying कि मैं नहीं बुलाना चाहता था हामिद साहब को. उनके प्रेस सेक्रेटरी ने कॉल करके कहा कि the VP insists that Nusrat Mirza must be invited. He insists. That is why the question is asked. Tawseef Rahman.
नहीं मैंने भी पढ़ा. Even I have gone through this. Even I have gone through this the same way ISI and RAW was commenting on this when they claimed everything rubbish whatever Mirza was claiming. Now this is also true.
You keep saying that you've gone through
this. The director of the secret director. Yeah, I have gone through this. I am not denying it. But the thing is that where was Agarwala for last past 8 years?
Yes, we all know. Why he was quiet?
No.
वो इतने चुप क्यों थे?
You don't have a point to make. Do not try.
कौन सा ये दौरा पड़ा है कि उन्होंने एक मुसलमान एक वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के ऊपर ये आइलसेंट डाला है?
Okay, answer this. Shazia Elmi,
मुसलमान थे ना इसलिए।
इतने साल के बाद
मुसलमान।
Why has Adesh Agarwala woken
I
up?
was waiting for this.
It was my question also.
Okay, your question also. Answer, Shazia Elmi.
You know why?
No, of course, this is what it is.
No. Yeah. So let me answer. So let her. तो बोलने दीजिए फिर क्या प्रॉब्लम है? तो सुनिए, हुआ ये कि इस नुसरत साहब ने बाकायदा कबूलनामा के तहत बताया कि वो कितनी बार आए और हामिद अंसारी के साथ उनके फोटोग्राफ्स थे और हामिद अंसारी ने कहा भाई मेरा कुछ लेना देना नहीं है, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स ने बुलाया है। तो ऑर्गेनाइजर जो आदेश जी का नाम लिया, आदेश जी ने कहा भाई हमने तो बुलाया नहीं है, इन्होंने इंसिस्ट किया है, उन्होंने रिकॉर्डिंग पेश कर दिया, फोटोग्राफ दिखा दिया।
रिकॉर्डिंग दिखा दीजिए ना, रिकॉर्डिंग सुना दीजिए। साजिया जी इल्जाम लगाने से कुछ नहीं होता। आप गवर्नमेंट
रिकॉर्डिंग में वो गायब हो जाएंगे,
अरे मैडम
और हामिद अंसारी साहब दिखेंगे
भाजपा के नेताओं के साथ
दूर वो बैठे हुए हैं। Just a second. One more thing. So what is the issue? What is the issue of the event? Ashutosh Mishra.
Are you blind?
Hear me out a second. Hear me out a second. Ashutosh Mishra. First is the issue. एक second. The statement which is put out by the Congress and Hamid Ansari Saab said very clearly, I never invited him. I never met him. Now here is an event where he is seated 5 chairs away. Point number 1. Point number 2. The vice president's protocol is very specific. Even if you were to go to meet the vice president, he will be given a list. कि साहब आज 2 बजे फला उनकी वाइफ, उनका बेटा, उनका बेटी, ये लोग आ रहे हैं। पूरी लिस्ट होती है। कोई कुंभ का मेला तो है नहीं कि कोई भी मुंह उठा के आया और अपनी कुर्सी लेकर के बैठ गया वाइस प्रेसिडेंट के बीच में। Then how is it possible that the vice president never knew that Nusrat Mirza was sitting there? Ashutosh Mishra.
First thing you speak about is the photograph. Now we had that famous photograph where Narendra and Nirav Modi were in the same frame. So are you trying to say that Narendra Modi knew that Nirav Modi is there at the back on the photo, in the photo frame? And this, please.
No, let him finish, then answer Karan Verma. Go on, finish your point, Ashutosh Mishra.
Then coming back to Nusrat Mirza, all of BJP is painting him as someone who is taken very seriously back home. If you listen to what that person is whining, his main grouse is nobody takes him seriously. In Pakistan, it's only the BJP. And why is BJP taking him seriously? Because we all know how much Narendra Modi hates Hamid Ansari. And that's why now this Agarwal fellow is also coming out. Because he is a Modi Bhakt. Everybody knows that. Now this is a part of concerted effort by BJP to malign Hamid Ansari. They have been after him hammer and tongs for years. And any
Sir, answer a simple question.
They will do that.
Nusrat Mirza is not taken seriously. Nusrat Mirza is a nobody. Nusrat Mirza is a desperate man. But why was Nusrat Mirza invited so many times to India? 1. Especially according to the press secretary, asked for in his event. 2. And 3, given the privileges of travelling to multiple cities which nobody else is given. Why was a desperate nobody given these special privileges?
Your second question is the most important one.
No, answer my third question. You cannot cherry pick which question you want to answer. Why was Nusrat Mirza given special privileges?
Trying to help his masters. No. The second question is more important. Now, Agarwal is a Modi Bhakt and he is desperately trying to help his master's case against Hamid Ansari. As simple as that. Because nobody takes Nusrat Mirza seriously, even in Pakistan. Forget India, only BJP is taking him so seriously. Because it helps.
Okay, Karan Verma, pictures are entirely circumstantial. Nirav Modi was standing next to the Prime Minister. Pictures happen. The killers of Kanhaiya were in a frame with Gulab Chand Kataria. Pictures happen. Pictures mean nothing. And now this is a big frame up of Hamid Ansari. 14 years later.
Look, first of all, Hamid Ansari is not politically that active that he needs to be framed or BJP is going to get some political gains out of framing him.
Number one. Secondly, these are facts. Padmaja, you have put forward hard facts. When nobody is invited here for 5 times and he owns up that he's a spy, then all we are saying is that this requires investigation. If you are going to trivialize this matter of national security, then you are being extremely irresponsible. The entire opposition and Congress is being irresponsible about it.
Hard fact is Modi and
if Hamid Ansari says that I acted on the aid and advice of the Ministry of... Sir, please let me speak now.
What you see today by BJP...
If the Vice President is saying that I acted on the advice of the Ministry of External Affairs, then they need to come clean. Why did they invite him for 5 times? And why did they give him preferential treatment when he was a nobody? These are hard questions that need to be answered.
एमईए को जवाब देना है, कांग्रेस को जवाब देना है, और जैसे कि आज मांग की गई है, खुद राहुल गांधी सोनिया गांधी जी को भी जवाब देना चाहिए।
देखिए, राहुल गांधी जी, सोनिया गांधी जी या कांग्रेस को जवाब नहीं देना है, जवाब भारत सरकार को देना है।
भारत सरकार में तो कांग्रेस थे ना उस वक्त।
अगर भारत सरकार उस वक्त कांग्रेस थे, कांग्रेस बीजेपी सरकार की नहीं होती। बात यह कि प्राइम मिनिस्टर मतलब प्राइम मिनिस्टर, रॉ मतलब रॉ। तो आज नरेंद्र मोदी जी समिति गठित कर दे और इंक्वायरी कर ले।
मोदी जी ये बताएं कि 2008 में क्यों इन्वाइट किया था, ये भी उनकी गलती है।
नरेंद्र मोदी जी की गलती नहीं ना, कांग्रेस की गलती है। गलती है भाजपा के मूड व्यक्तियों की, जिनकी विक्षिप्त मानसिकता।
अरे सर, ये बताइए ना, खुद अगर हामिद अंसारी साहब बोल रहे हैं कि द एमईए, आई वर्कड ऑन द एमईए's एडवाइस एट दैट टाइम, तो उस वक्त की सरकार को जवाब देना पड़ेगा ना।
तो उस वक्त की सरकार का जवाब कौन देगा भाई? कौन देगा? आप पेपर देंगे ना, जो पेपर होगा, डॉक्यूमेंट्स होंगे ना, वो निकाल के दे कि गवर्नमेंट ने क्या किया था, किसके कहने पे किया था, सारे पेपर होंगे।
इंक्वायरी बैठा दीजिए, सब पता चल जाएगा कि किसने गौहर मिर्जा को इंडिया की परमिशन दी।
हजारों लोग आते हैं लोगों से मिलने जुलने।
हजारों लोग आते हैं सर, हजारों लोग हामिद अंसारी के बगल में नहीं। बिल्कुल इंक्वायरी होगी और इन्वेस्टिगेशन होगी राष्ट्रपति भवन में जाने की। आप मुगल गार्डन से आगे नहीं बढ़ पाएंगे। ऐसा थोड़ा ना, हजारों लोग राष्ट्रपति भवन में जाते हैं,
मैं साजिया इल्मी से
जाकर के बैठ जाते हैं रामनाथ कोविंद जी के साथ।
साजिया इल्मी से एक सवाल पूछता हूं मैं। 25, इन्होंने डेट तो नहीं बताया, मैं ही बता देता हूँ। 25 दिसंबर 2015 को नरेंद्र मोदी जी जाते हैं। सुन लीजिए, बहुत वैलिड सवाल है साजिया जी, प्लीज 10
सवालों का जवाब नहीं देना है। नहीं
2015 को जाते हैं, 25 दिसंबर को लाहौर जाते हैं, और 2 जनवरी 2016 को यहाँ पे पुलवामा अटैक हो जाता है, पठानकोट अटैक हो जाता है।
एक सेकेंड, इस पे पॉलिटिक्स करने की जगह शाजिया इल्मी, इफ समथिंग लाइक दिस हैज इमर्ज्ड, shouldn't there be an inquiry? How do we know there isn't another Nusrat Mirza sitting here in India right now?
Of course, Padmaja, exactly. In fact, दीपक ने गाहे बगाहे बहुत जरूरी बात कह दी है। उन्होंने कहा ये सब अटैक्स हुए बाद में। क्या क्यों हुआ ये अटैक?
2015 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी जाते हैं, 25 मैं डेट बता रहा हूँ, आपको नहीं याद है? 25 दिसंबर 2015 को नरेंद्र मोदी पाकिस्तान में उतरते हैं, और 2 जनवरी में हमारे पठानकोट में एयरबेस में अटैक हो जाता है। तो रिश्ता क्या कहलाता है साजिया जी? आप बता दीजिए ना। 2 राष्ट्रों के राष्ट्राध्यक्ष की बात होती है। अब आप कहेंगे कि प्राइवेट मसला नहीं है, इसलिए हम चैनल पे डिस्कशन नहीं करेंगे।
आप तो एकदम सूरज बजाते बन गए। यहाँ पे किसी का रिश्ता क्या कहलाता है ये डिसाइड करने नहीं आए हैं। ऑन अ मोर,
Padmaja, can you conduct the debate so I'm allowed to speak?
Yes, go on. Finish your point, Shazia Ilmi.
Padmaja, am I allowed to speak and answer?
Yes, go on.
Yeah, so दीपक ने गाहे बगाहे बहुत जरूरी बात कह दी कि जो सारे इल्जाम में लगा रहे हैं और जो बता रहे हैं हमारे देश के साथ क्या क्या हुआ, क्या ये नतीजा है इन जासूसों के आने के?
बिल्कुल नतीजा है। 2015 में नरेंद्र मोदी जी जाते हैं, देश की इज्जत को नीलाम कर देते हैं। जिस पाकिस्तान के साथ हमारे देश में एक बच्चा बात नहीं करना चाहता, अटल बिहारी वाजपेयी जी जाते हैं, आडवाणी जी जाते हैं, मजार पे चादर चढ़ाने जाते हैं, कंधार में आप लोग प्लेन में जाते हैं, घुटने टेकते हैं।
हामिद अंसारी इनको बुला रहे थे, फिर लगातार आप बोल रहे हैं। दीपक जी आप लगातार बोल रहे हैं, आप लगातार
एक सेकंड, दीपक जी उसी मुंह से लोग जाते हैं जिस मुंह से नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू जाकर जनरल बाजवा को मेरा यार बोलते हैं, आप उसको डिफेंड करते हैं, बट दैट इज ऑल व्हाट अबाउट इट? The more singular question and the more important question is that it's great to have this political one-upmanship over an extremely serious issue that has happened. It's been 14 years since. What are the loopholes that existed then? Very quickly, last word, Karan Verma. And have they been plugged, or are we going to stop at finger pointing? Will there be an investigation as to how Nusrats of the world get to enter India? Karan Verma.
there should be a judicial probe, and I think everyone on this panel should welcome it, because this merits investigation. These are serious charges and something which involves national security that is paramount, that is bipartisan, and everyone should welcome a probe. That is what is needed to put this matter to rest.
All right, let's hope that happens and it doesn't stop at finger pointing and blame game. Thank you very much, all gentlemen, Shazia and me, for joining me. A strange controversy has blown up in Uttar Pradesh with an equally strange blowback. On the 10th of July this year, the largest mall of India was inaugurated in Lucknow, the capital city of Uttar Pradesh. The inauguration was done by Yogi Adityanath in the presence of the owner of Lulu Group, businessman M.A. Yusuf Ali. And within days, 2 videos of a group of people offering namaz inside the very mall had gone viral. But it's this entire process that is extremely strange. According to the police, CCTV footage shows that these group of men who were eventually filmed performing namaz, they entered, went straight to the second floor, and there they conducted their prayers. After the prayers got over, they came down to the ground floor and immediately exited the mall. Apparently, they did no other thing. They didn't do any window shopping, they didn't go to any other floor, they did not go to any shop, no theatre, no food court, nothing. Their entire aim, it seems, was to just come, offer namaz, record a video and make it viral. But why? Why did they do this? Whatever the motivation, the backlash was immediate. Immediately, some Hindu group said, now we will offer prayers inside the mall as well. Till eventually, the mall management had to put up notices everywhere stating explicitly that no religious activity would be allowed, whether by Hindus or by Muslims.
लुलु मॉल सभी धर्मों का आदर करता है। किसी भी प्रकार की संगठित धार्मिक कार्य या प्रार्थना की यहां अनुमति नहीं दी जाती। हम अपने फ्लोर स्टाफ, सिक्योरिटी स्टाफ को कड़ी ट्रेनिंग देते हैं कि ऐसी गतिविधियां पर नजर रखी जाए। इस मॉल को हम एक अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर का शॉपिंग डेस्टिनेशन बनाना चाहते हैं और हम अपने मीडिया के दोस्तों से ये आग्रह करते हैं कि आप सभी हमारा इस चीज में सहयोग करें। धन्यवाद।
कोई भी लैंड ऑर्डर से छेड़छाड़ बर्दाश्त नहीं की जाएगी, चाहे वो कोई भी हो, और इसलिए नोटिस उन्होंने लगाया है। उनका एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन जो काम कर सकता है वो कर रहा है, पुलिस अपना काम कर रही है और हम लोग केस को वर्कआउट करेंगे और पूरी तरह से चीज़ों को शांतिपूर्ण, अभी भी शांति बरकरार है, आगे भी बरकरार रहेगी।
सर, जो 2 वीडियोस आए थे नमाज पढ़ते हुए लोगों के, क्या आइडेंटिफाई हो पाए वो लोग कौन थे?
उस पर इन्वेस्टिगेशन चल रही है, बहुत जल्दी वर्कआउट होगा।
जो कुछ हिंदू संगठनों ने कहा था कि विरोध प्रदर्शन करेंगे यहाँ पर या सुंदरकांड पाठ करेंगे, उसको लेकर क्या इंतजाम किया?
उन्होंने कॉल ऑफ कर लिया था। 1-2 लोग जो आए थे उनके खिलाफ जो आवश्यक विधि कार्रवाई होगी की जाएगी।
Now, remember that this mall was inaugurated with much fanfare by Yogi Adityanath himself and in the presence of its owner Yusuf Ali. The same businessman has pledged to open 2 more such malls across the state with an investment of 2,500 crores. That is what makes one wonder. In this time, when nerves are anyway frayed, what was the purpose of this entire controversy? Was it actually less about prayer and more about manufacturing this kind of a controversy to queer the pitch?
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Alright, joining us now, Advocate Talha Amir Rashadi, spokesperson of Rashtriya Ulema Council. Tawseefur Rahman continues with us. Political analyst Karan Verma, author, also continues with us. But my first question is to Shishir Chaturvedi, national spokesperson of the Hindu Mahasabha. Shishir ji, ये बताइए कि अगर कोई नमाज अदा कर भी देता है, तो क्या अब देश में ये हालात हो गए हैं कि किसी मॉल के बॉयकॉट पे बात आ गई है? ये दोनों तरफ से इंटॉलरेंस नहीं हो रहा है और देश का ही नाम खराब होता है। एक मॉल को बॉयकॉट करके क्या हो जाएगा?
हेलो,
हाँ जी, आपको आवाज आ रही है मिस्टर चतुर्वेदी?
क्लियर नहीं आ रही है।
अब क्लियर आ रही है
जी?
अब आपको सुनाई दे रहा है अच्छे से?
क्लियर ही आ रही है।
अच्छा ठीक है, वी विल जस्ट ट्राई एंड फिक्स दैट।
जी सवाल फिर से दोहरा दीजिए।
सवाल मेरा आपसे ये था कि अगर कोई नमाज अदा कर भी देता है तो मॉल को बॉयकॉट करने की क्या जरूरत है? ये तो फिर हमेशा आप अपनी जिंदगी में यही करते रहेंगे ना, बॉयकॉट दिस एंड बॉयकॉट दैट, और आप उन लोगों के मदद ही कर रहे हैं जो कि कंट्रोवर्सी क्रिएट करना चाहते हैं।
देखिए ऐसा है कि ये लुलु मॉल जो है ये केरल से जो यहाँ तक आया है, लगातार सोशल मीडिया में साइडों पर इसके बारे में लगातार चल रहा है कि ये लव जिहाद को फैलाते हैं। ये लगातार जो इनका पैसा जो कमाते हैं उसका एक बड़ा हिस्सा मतलब एक धर्म विशेष पे ही कार्य करते हैं उसको। तो इस बातों को लेकर, तमाम विवादों को लेकर ये बात चली रही थी। इस बीच में एक वीडियो सामने आता है कि लुलु मॉल में वहां पर नमाज पढ़ी गई।
सर ये बताइए, जब आप ऐसी बातें करते हैं और बॉयकॉट की बात करते हैं, आपको पता है ना कि हमारे देश का नाम और जो बिजनेस क्लाइमेट है आप उसे खराब करते हैं। 4 लोगों ने आकर के नमाज अदा कर दी, आपने बॉयकॉट की बात कर दी। 2500 करोड़ का इन्वेस्टमेंट उत्तर प्रदेश में आ रहा है इस ग्रुप से, आपने उसको लव जिहाद से जोड़ दिया। क्यों? जो ट्रैप सेट किया गया है आपके लिए, आप उस ट्रैप में जाकर के गिर गए। 5 लोगों ने कहा कि चलो भाई यहां कंट्रोवर्सी क्रिएट करते हैं, आप फटाक से वहां पहुंच गए, आपने कहा जी हम यहां सुंदरकांड शुरू कर देंगे। क्यों?
हेलो,
चलिए शिशिर जी को आवाज आनी बंद हो गई है। लेट मी गो एंड आस्क दिस टू Tausifur Rahman as well. You know, all these voices aside, Tausifur Rahman, doesn't it seem to you like a really strange controversy to manufacture? Why would somebody come to a public place, offer namaz and then leave? Why? And who recorded them? Why was this recorded?
पद्मजा, मैं उनको जवाब देना चाहता हूं जो मेरे से पहले भी पैनलिस्ट जिनसे आप बात कर रही थी, ऑनरेबल पैनलिस्ट जो थे हमारे साथ, मैं उनको ये कहना चाहता हूं
नहीं आ रही, उनके हम ऑडियो फिक्स कर रहे हैं, तो आप मेरा जवाब दे दीजिए, then I'll tell you when he's back with us.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So Lulu is not just in India; it's all over Middle East, and many. No. Let me give you a little bit detail if you give me some time. And almost many of the Indians staying in Middle East, working there, and we are very fortunate that Lulu is here right now in India. But Padmaja, कहीं ना कहीं मेरे कुछ रिजर्वेशंस हो जाते हैं जहां मुझे भी तकलीफ होती है। हम जिस डेमोक्रेटिक कंट्री में रहते हैं वहां पर एक तबकों को थोड़ा सा हर्ट कर दिया जाता है, एक तबकों को खुश कर दिया जाता है। मेरा आपसे भी एक सवाल है कि अगर हिंदुस्तान में, मैं हिंदुस्तानी बोलता हूं, भारत नहीं बोलना चाहता हूं, अगर हिंदुस्तान में जब भी कोई नया चीज की इनॉग्रेशन होती है, ओपनिंग सेरेमनी होती है, उसको पूजा के साथ ही क्यों होता है? उसके साथ अगर कोई मुसलमान ये भी कहने लग जाता है कुरान खानी करिए, आप कुरान के साथ शुरू करिए, तो मैं कहता हूं कि आप ना कुरान के साथ शुरू करिए ना पूजा करिए। अगर एक नेशनल एम्ब्लेम जैसे कि अभी लॉन्च हुआ है,
Sir, by all means do that, but also remember that I don't know whether a puja was done over here or a Quran Khani was done.
This is what.
But Mr. M.A. Yusuf Ali decided how to have his mall inaugurated, and he got it done by Yogi Adityanath. So that is besides the point. My point is different. My point is, why would a bunch of people come and decide to offer namaz in a public place, record it and make it viral? What was the intent of this? Except to provoke people like Shishir Chaturvedi, who would then march in and say, अब हम यहाँ सुंदर कांड करेंगे।
नहीं देखिए पद्मा जी, मैं उनको भी ब्लेम नहीं करना चाहता हूं ना, मैं
नहीं, उनको करना चाहिए।
प्रॉब्लम
यही है ना, no place for सुंदरकांड, I'm sorry,
जब जड़ें खराब हो जाती हैं तो दोनों तरफ से आ जाता है।
सुंदरकांड at home, it should not be done in a mall. But why is this being done? Why is this vicious cycle being created is my question, Tausifur Rahman.
Ma'am, that's why I'm telling you that at the earliest place this should not have been started. You think I'm supporting that these people has gone to Lulu market inside and they're performing namaz, they're praying? No, it's not done. बट द सेम टाइम बहुत सारी चीज ऐसे हो रही हैं हमारे देश में जिसको लेके लोगों को इंस्टिगेट कर दिया जा रहा है। लोग उठ रहे हैं, जनमाज ले रहे हैं, टोपी लगा रहे हैं, पता नहीं वजू कर भी रहे हैं कि नहीं, मुझे नहीं पता, बिना वजू के, बिना कोई नियत के जाके लुलू में नमाज पढ़ जा रहे हैं। आज मोदी जी भी वो एम्ब्लेम की ओपनिंग कर रहे हैं, वो पूजा के साथ कर रहे हैं। आज वहां पर नारियल फोड़ा जा रहा है।
कहीं पर भी। अरे तो इस आपको ये धर्म लाने की जरूरत क्या है? धर्म अपने अपने घर में करें ना, हम नमाज अपने घर में पढ़े, पूजा अपने घरों में पढ़े।
But there is a slight difference between performing a puja in an inauguration and going and performing prayers.
ये मैं आपको बताना चाहता हूँ, उत्तर प्रदेश
No, but why it is happening? But why it is happening? Why any puja will happen with a national ceremony?
नमाज और कुछ भी नहीं होगा। तो इन्होंने लुलु मॉल ने जानबूझ के ऐसा काम किया
ओपनिंग सेरेमनी
और उन्होंने जानबूझ के।
एक सेकंड, शिशिर चतुर्वेदी,
आप गेटिंग पीपल।
हाँ बोलिए शिशिर चतुर्वेदी। हाँ
जी देखिए समस्या कहां पर है। ये जो लुलु मॉल है, इन्होंने साजिशन जिस प्रकार से इन्होंने लखनऊ की 25-30% आबादी को देखते हुए एक षड्यंत्र रचा और इन्होंने अपने ही लोगों से एक तरीके से एक वीडियो बनवाए नमाज पढ़ते हुए और इसको प्रचारित करवाया, फ्री की मीडिया से पब्लिसिटी ली और जिससे मुस्लिम धर्म के जो मानने वाले हैं 25 से 30% लोग,
तो आप मान रहे हैं ना,
सीधे इनके ग्राहक बने।
आप लुलु को गोली मारी,
लोग जो है वो भी
आप मान रहे हैं ना कि ये
शिशिर जी, मैं आपसे बहुत रिस्पेक्टफुली कहना चाहूंगी कि जितनी पब्लिसिटी, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि ये लुलु मॉल ने पब्लिसिटी के लिए किया है, जितनी पब्लिसिटी आपने दी है आज पूरा प्रोटेस्ट करके, उससे ज्यादा पब्लिसिटी और कोई नहीं दे सकता था। आपने जो पूरा बॉयकॉट का आंदोलन चलाया, उससे ज्यादा पब्लिसिटी और कोई नहीं दे सकता था लुलु मॉल को। लेट मी ब्रिंग इन एडवोकेट तलहा अमीर रशादी। एडवोकेट रशादी, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल दिस गोज अगेंस्ट द रूल्स। इट सेज वेरी एक्सप्लिसिटली दैट इन public there should be no such prayers offered. Why would these bunch of people do it then? What's the intent? That's the only question I've been asking since the beginning.
Padmaja, my first reservation is that you have been maintaining this point of view that these people deliberately went into the mall, they offered the prayers and they went away. How do you know that? What makes you come to this conclusion?
Because the police has gone through CCTV footage and they have said that these people, they did not go to any shop, they did not go to any food court, they didn't do anything. That place has a theater, it has a food court, it has restaurants, it has shops. I mean, of all the places where you want to offer namaz, why would you just walk in, offer namaz, walk out? Who does that?
The investigation is still on. So please don't jump to a conclusion. The other thing is that if someone deliberately offers namaz, is offering namaz a crime? Is offering namaz a crime in India? Modi ji in the inauguration of the Temple of Democracy, the Sansad Bhavan is a democratic symbol of India, which stands for secularism, which has no religion, which has no caste, which has no identity. But Modi ji is offering some prayers along with the Lok Sabha speaker. Did any Muslim or did any Muslim organization have any objection on that?
Okay.
No one had any objection.
In a secular India, why can't people, even if they just walked in, maybe they wanted a clean place to sit? What is the problem in offering prayers inside a mall in secular India, Karan Verma?
It's Sahanshilta, but still in India, some people cannot offer namaz.
Sahanshilta, Karan Verma.
Difference between an opening ceremony and performing. Now can I speak please? There is a difference between an opening ceremony and a ritualistic ceremony and performing prayers when there was no ceremony. I mean, there are thousands of masjids in Lucknow where they could have gone to offer prayers. This was a deliberate attempt to stoke religious sentiments, and that is why I am glad that section 295A has been invoked in the FIR. Padmaja, I come from Lucknow, and Lucknow is famous for its Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb, its Sanskriti, and people there have actually peacefully coexisted and lived. We welcome all sorts of investments. Lulu Mall, attributing any sort of conspiracy to it, I don't stand for that either. But these type of activities where radicalization or deliberate attempt to stoke religious sentiments,
so this is not secularism, this is provocation. Advocate Rashadi. And just by the way, let me tell you this, that there is a law, there is a rule by the UP government that expressly prohibits any such public offering of prayer. Today evening, when Mr. Chaturvedi and group tried to enter the mall to do puja, they have also been arrested. Mr. Rashadi.
What would you say about the Kawa Yatra? The state administration is launching red petals from helicopter on Kawa Yatras. Did we have any objection on that? What do you have to say about the Durga Puja and Dasera Pandals? The the main highway. Do we have any objection on that? Is that not a fare being offered on a public place?
ओके, शिशिर चतुर्वेदी, आप बताइए कि आपको कांवड़ यात्रा से जब कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है तो आपको नमाज से क्या तकलीफ है?
अरे मैम, मुझे मेरा पक्षी नहीं रखने दे रही है, पूरी बात को तो सुन लीजिए। आप बीच में दूसरे इंटरप्ट करते हैं, ऐसी चर्चा नहीं होती कहीं पे भी। ये लुलु मॉल की जो पूरी समस्या है उसको समझने की कोशिश कीजिए। मैंने एक थाने में प्रार्थना पत्र दिया कि लुलु मॉल में जो व्यापार के लिए जगह दी गई है उसको धार्मिक स्थल क्यों बनाया जा रहा है। तो उसका प्रार्थना पत्र पे बात चली रही थी, तब तक मैं दूसरे दिन फिर नमाज पढ़ी गई। तो उसके बाद वहाँ एक FIR होती है। कल रात से प्रशासन मुझसे वार्ता में प्रयास में था। मैंने उनसे ये कहा कि आप प्रशासन के लोग आए और लुलु मॉल के लोग आए और हमसे वार्ता करें। तो आज सुबह लुलु मॉल के लोग आए थे, प्रशासन ने मुझे नजरबंद किया था और मैंने ये कहा कि जो लुलु मॉल के प्रशासन से कि वहाँ आप एक पोस्टर लगाइए, जो कोई ना नमाज पढ़ेगा ना कोई पूजा पाठ करेगा, ये मैंने कहा। और ये उत्तर प्रदेश के आदरणीय योगी आदित्यनाथ जी ने कहा था कि ना सार्वजनिक स्थल पे ना पूजा होगी ना नमाज होगी। तो ये ऐसा इन्होंने क्यों किया?
बट तलहारा शादी तो पूछ रहे, कांवड़ यात्रा निकलती है ना, कांवड़ यात्रा निकलती है तो किसी का क्या बिगड़ जाएगा अगर नमाज भी हो जाए?
टॉपिक पे रहिए, टॉपिक पे, टॉपिक नहीं बात। अगर नमाज हो जाती कोई सुंदर बिगड़ता तो वहां पर सुंदर कहाँ भी हो जाता था, तो फिर क्यों दिक्कत थी?
आप ये बताइए, ये मानते हैं कि नहीं?
ये बताइए, ये जो बीच में बोल रहे हैं ये लगातार बीच में।
अरे सर, मुल्ला मुझे
नहीं, एक सेकंड। पहली बात, वो एडवोकेट है शिशिर जी, प्लीज आराम से बात कीजिए। आप सिर्फ सवाल का जवाब दीजिए कि अगर पब्लिक में प्रेयर की बात है तो कांवड़ यात्रा को इजाजत और नमाज को नहीं, क्यों?
3 लाख वकीलों का मैं भी लीडर हूँ। मैं ये कह रहा हूँ अगर नमाज पढ़ी गई तो सुंदरकांड भी होने दीजिए, दिक्कत क्या है? आप बताइए क्या दिक्कत है? आज सुंदरकांड हो जाता, क्या दिक्कत हो जाती? ये सोच, इनकी सोच पे अटक है। ना मुझे हमें नमाज से दिक्कत है ना नमाजियों से दिक्कत है। दिक्कत यह कि सार्वजनिक स्थल पे दोनों समाज को जब रोका गया है तो सारे समाज के लोग उसका अनुपालन करें।
ओके, सबको रोका गया है। एडवोकेट तलहा मेरे रशादी, एवरीवन इज गोइंग टू बी स्टॉप्ड। मिस्टर रशादी,
अब मैं बस ये जानना चाहता हूँ कि इसमें 300 से ज्यादा दुकानें हैं। इनसे सवाल है, 300 से ज्यादा उसमें हिंदू की भी दुकान होगी, मुसलमान की भी होगी, ईसाई की भी होगी, सबकी होगी। हमारे जो हिंदू भाई सुबह दुकान खोलते हैं तो हर दुकान में कोई ना कोई हिंदू भगवान की फोटो होती है, उस पर वो अगरबत्ती जलाते हैं, पूजा करते हैं। कभी किसी ने कोई ऑब्जेक्शन किया? अगर कोई मुसलमान 2 रकात नमाज पढ़ ले रहा है तो क्या दिक्कत है भाई आपको?
बट सर, दीज आर नॉट पीपल हु वर फ्रॉम विद इन द मॉल। मिस्टर रशादी, यू आर एब्सोल्युटली राइट। एनीवन कैन डिस्प्ले whatever they want inside their shops, but these are people who came from the outside. That is one. You even had Tawseefur Rahman questioning that why would group of strangers come into a mall of all places for offering prayers? That is why it seems malafide.
I agree on that point. If they came to the mall deliberately with the intention of offering namaz and then making the video viral, that's highly condemnable.
Okay, thank you. I think finally we are having a sensible conversation. And as far as you are concerned, शिशिर चतुर्वेदी जी, अगर आपको लगता है कि लुलु मॉल और लुलु ग्रुप से लव जिहाद हो रहा है, I want you to actually listen to what the owner of Lulu Mall said about Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, and the conversation that they have. Listen to him.
On August 2017, I met the Honorable Chief Minister and seek his valuable blessings. After seeing our proposal, Honorable Chief Minister told me that आप काम शुरू कर दीजिए, आपको कोई दिक्कत न तकलीफ नहीं होएगा। So this is the confidence of investors of our Honorable Chief Minister, जो अभी देख रहा है आप लोग जो शॉपिंग मॉल जो हमारा चीफ मिनिस्टर का सपोर्ट में है।
सुन लीजिए शिशिर जी, वो कह रहे हैं कि खुद मुख्यमंत्री ने उनको बुलाया और कहा हाँ यहाँ पर बिजनेस कीजिए।
प्रदेश के कानूनों को तोड़ेंगे?
अरे वो थोड़ी ना तोड़ रहे हैं, आप मॉल को क्यों बॉयकॉट कर रहे हैं? आप माहौल क्यों खराब कर रहे हैं?
नमाजियों का सम्मान है, नमाज पढ़ने वालों का सम्मान है, लेकिन कानून तोड़ने वाले की कोई न जात ना कोई धर्म होता है।
चलिए ठीक है, ये बात आप बिल्कुल सही कह रहे हैं कि कानून तोड़ने वालों का ना कोई जात होता है ना धर्म होता है, एंड विच इज द रीजन व्हाई दैट टुडे फॉर दिस एंटायर कंट्रोवर्सी मैन्युफैक्चर्ड अराउंड लुलू मॉल 4 people have been arrested by the UP police: Sarojnath Yogi, Krishna Kumar Pathak, Gaurav Goswami and Arshad Ali. And that's the way it should be. So one bunch of people try and provoke, another bunch of people jumps right in and talks about love jihad and plays right into their hand. Let's be more sensible. Thanks very much all gentlemen for joining me.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
देश का प्रतीक है ये, हर हिंदुस्तानी के नजदीक है ये, हर डर को भगा देता है, हर देशवासी के अंदर जोश जगा देता है. Today I am here at Kishtwar and you can see the tricolor has been raised, and for this tricolor we have seen that how these brave hearts always try to ensure there is an unwritten commitment from their side that at any cost they will see this tricolor fluttering. For that even they are ready to take bullets on their body. For that they have even sacrificed their life. If today we are talking about peace and prosperity in Kashmir, it's only because of these brave hearts who had always been there for the people of the country, who had always been there for the people of Jammu and Kashmir. We have seen that few months back, some of the politicians said that after abrogation of Article 370, there will be hardly anyone to hold tricolor in their hand. But you can see that how a new chapter has been scripted, how things have really changed and winds of change have already started blowing. And you can find these youngsters proudly looking towards the tricolor, 100 feet high tricolor, which can be seen from any of the hillock surrounding this Kishtwar town. After Kashmir Valley, Jammu region, now it is the Kishtwar where we have got this tricolor fluttering high. And every Indian's chest swells with pride when they look at the tricolor, because they know it is not only about tricolor, it is also about the sacrifice of our soldier. It's all, if we see the tricolor fluttering, it is not because of the blowing wind, it is because of the supreme sacrifice of each and every soldier. Let's talk to the youngsters. कैसा लग रहा है जब आज आप ये तिरंगा लहराते हुए देख रहे हैं?
सर, ये हमारे लिए एक प्राउड मोमेंट है. आज हम बहुत खुश हैं कि हमारे किश्तवाड़ जिले में इतना अच्छा काम हो रहा है.
कितना जोश आ रहा है?
सर, बहुत ज़्यादा जोश आ रहा है. हमें खुशी हो रही है कि किश्तवाड़ में ऐसा पहली बार हो रहा है कि 100 फीट ऊपर एक तिरंगा.
You're watching the News Hour at 10. The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivchankar.
Draupadi Murmu ji is also a decent person, but she represents a very evil philosophy of India.
Watching the News Hour at 10.
Scheduled to begin on July 18th has been postponed until further notice. Ministry of Health and Family Welfare issued guidelines for the management of monkeypox after India reported its first confirmed case. As per the guidelines, international passengers should avoid close contact with sick people and dead or live wild animals. Ahead of the monsoon session of the Parliament, tomorrow Telangana Chief Minister K. Chandrasekhar Rao will hold a meeting of the Telangana Rashtriya Samiti MPs. The meeting will be held to discuss the party strategy for the upcoming session. A day after Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin was hospitalized after he was tested positive for COVID-19, Prime Minister Modi spoke to the Chief Minister over phone today to inquire about his health.
The playground in question belongs to the Bengaluru Mahanagara Palike. It is a government-owned property. Muslims are being allowed to perform namaz and prayers twice a year on the days of Ramadan and Bakrid. But non-Muslims are not being allowed to use this land for any religious and cultural activities. We are planning to have a Ganesha Utsav on this particular playground, and we are also putting up 25 to 30 stalls which sell Lord Ganesha's idols. We are submitting a memorandum to the BBMP Commissioner in this regard.
On November 17, 2019, Gotabaya Rajapaksa got elected as the president of the island nation of Sri Lanka. With significant tax cuts and reduced revenue, the Gotabaya government ignored International Monetary Fund's warnings and directed the central bank to print currency in record